me bring myself into the stream. Happy Monday evening. I got a question for y'all at home. Who's your favorite artist? I just want to know who's your favorite artist, and it better be you know who. What's up, everyone? Elliot here from MovieFiles, doing a live stream with you all tonight, talking about Swarm. Man, this was a show that was on the radar for me for a bit, and we'll talk about it here as far as my anticipation, excitement level once we get our guests in here, which I do have some very special guests that will be joining me here shortly. But yeah, man, this was a series that I did get the opportunity to check out prior to it releasing over the weekend, and I couldn't wait, like a swarm of bees. I couldn't wait to talk about it with you all, and had the chance to talk about it on the channel a couple of days ago with episode 1 breakdown and explain. But I had to come here live to actually interact with you all, talk to you all in the chat, talk to my guests who will be joining us here shortly, and just talk about this show that just, I knew it was going to be fire, but I didn't know it was going to be that fire. Now, Donald Glover, Janine Nabers came with the heat. And speaking of the heat, y'all, this young lady here, man, let me take myself off the screen for a second, because we definitely going to be talking about her. Dominique Fishback. My goodness. Who told you to eat like that? Who told you to put all them acting skills in this show like that, young lady? I mean, goodness gracious. We'll be talking about her, the supporting cast, the themes, the different deeper meanings, all the different stuff that this show had to offer. There's so much to talk about with this series. And this might be a 2 hour, 3 hour. We'll see how long this goes, but I'm really excited to talk about this series with you all. But again, I won't be by myself again. I'm waiting for the guests to come in here shortly. Very excited to get their thoughts on the show. Some of them have their own breakdowns on their individual channels. Some of them haven't put out their individual channels, or their breakdowns. So I'll be hearing their thoughts for the first time. So it's going to be a really exciting time tonight. So we got 67 people watching live. Again, y'all, you could be anywhere in the world tonight, but you're here with your boy Elliot from MovieFiles, and I really appreciate y'all. So if you could do me a favor, man, hit that like button, man. I know we haven't gotten the conversation going quite yet, but if you are excited to be here, if you enjoyed this show, then you can hit that like button. And of course, once we get into the conversation, I would really appreciate that, because it helps spread out the algorithm, get as many bees and swarms on this conversation as possible. And also hit that share button, man. If you guys have your own personal social media accounts on Instagram or Twitter or what have you, you can definitely hit that share button and get all the people in here talking about this show tonight. And we're live, yo. So I'm going to do my best to moderate this. I'm going to be the host of tonight's discussion. So I'm going to try to get to as many comments that I see in the comment section, and we can, answer some questions, bring up your comments or concerns or your theories or your, deeper meanings that you all took away from the series. So I'm going to try my best to get to as many comments as possible and just have a good time. And again, y'all, as we're getting people into the chat here, and I got one of my guests popping up, put in the comments now, who's your favorite artist? And again, I don't make threats, but if it ain't you know who, I'm just saying, there's a young lady named Dre that might come for you, y'all. But again, I got my guests coming in. I'm gonna bring them in here shortly. But again, I appreciate y'all, and this is gonna be a good time. So with that being said, we bring in my first guest, who I haven't talked to in quite a bit. But she's just been doing her thing on YouTube and just been killing it with different TV shows, movies. And the thing that I just love that she's bringing to the platform is the old school movies, man. The movies we grew up on in the 90s, early 2000s, and some of the stuff in the 80s. And she's just such a fun, energetic, awesome person. And I'm just so excited to get her thoughts on the series, because me and her go back as far as like we got a connection with horror. So this is a show that definitely touches on that. And I'm so excited to get her thoughts on the series. Let me bring her in here. Haven't seen her in a while. Talking about the girl, Tyra from Struggle TV Reviews.
Hey,
what's going on?
Elliot.
It's been a minute. How we doing?
I'm good, Elliot. Like, I'm so happy to see you. I feel like some years have passed since the last time we got on here, even though
was it Atlanta? Was it Atlanta?
It was Atlanta.
Hey,
it was Atlanta.
And look what Atlanta did. It brought us back together. We're back together, Tyra. So good to see you.
Man, you too. Elliot, this show, amazing. Like,
listen, Tyra, who's your favorite artist? That's the question I got for you.
I couldn't get it up quick enough. Like, it's literally uploading now as I'm speaking, because once you hear somebody else's opinion, it kind of bleeds over into what you have to say. So I'm getting it up. It's uploading now. But amazing, Elliot. Like, wow.
Hey, Janine, Donald Glover, they came through, Tyra. But hey, before we get into the discussion, again, if this is the first time people are seeing you, again, you've been on the channel before, but like I said, it's been a minute since we chatted since Atlanta. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the people? Let them know what you do on the YouTubes.
Oh man, I am Tyra with Struggle Reviews TV. I do a little bit of everything. I give commentary on contemporary movies, TV shows like Swarm, which is uploading as we speak. But for majority of the time, I specialize in throwback content. There is a paywall for it. I am always constantly dropping videos such as, I think I just did School Days, which was amazing. Had fun with that. But there's always something interesting going on my channel. Be sure to come over, check me out, and get your whole nostalgic life.
Yes. Again, I love the throwbacks. And man, I can't wait to get your thoughts on tonight's episode or the series in general, and the performances and the metaphors and the themes and that fire that they came with on this show. But we got another guest in the back room that I haven't time I got a chance to talk to her was on The Last of Us, which she always brings the great fire and the great commentary with all various different shows. She brings that New Orleans flavor, y'all, that I love, and I'm so excited to get her thoughts on this series. Talking about the homegirl L from Watch With Me, LB.
Hey y'all,
what up, LB? How we doing?
What's going on? Happy Monday. Hey Tyra girl.
What is up? I miss you. Where you been?
I miss you. I know, girl. You know I've been ducked off.
Reunion here, y'all.
I'm here today.
Yes.
Hey, Elliot.
L, you got your name. You got the B in your name there.
I know, man.
Were you buzzing around the show? Was the beehive feeling? Was you feeling it with this show?
This show was very unexpected for me. Like I knew like generalities. Like I knew what it was gonna be about, but I had no idea what I was gonna get for real. And I always struggle with like with movies and shows like this where it's like surrealism.
Right.
I don't know whether I'm supposed to be laughing or serious, and I end up laughing. Like I laughed a lot in this movie,
same,
which was amazing for me. But I just want to, before we do anything else, I need to get this out the way. Dominique Fishback, point blank in the period. That's it.
Come on now. Where's she at? Here she go. There she go. Yo, we gonna get into Miss Fishback because she did her thing, but. Listen, Elle, before we get into the conversation, it's so good to see you. You've been on the channel before, but just in case it's the people's first time coming across you, why don't you let them know who you are and where they can find you?
Bet. So I'm LB. Hi, everybody. My channel is Watch With Me, LB. I am a baby YouTuber compared to these two phenomenal people on this channel. I started about a year and change ago and having so much fun with it. I do movie, TV, show recaps, reviews, and really raw and unedited commentary on them. I tend to go off on tangents, but the tangents tend to be funny to me, at least. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm having a great time reviewing movies and TV shows. And I just released my thoughts on Swarm, all of the episodes from front to back and top to bottom. I had a great time reviewing it. So if you haven't, go ahead and check that out on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel because once again, I'm a little tiny baby YouTuber. So help me grow my channel and give me a subscribe if you haven't. And I appreciate the invite tonight, E.
Of course. And these wonderful content creators, wonderful people, their links are in the description of this very video. So go ahead and hit the link, subscribe, and check out. Just watch all the videos and just have it on a binge. Just have a binge fest. You won't be disappointed because they got some fire content. But speaking of fire, we got a couple more guests that we're waiting to come in, but we'll just kind of get the icebreaker out of the way. And I want to start with you, Tyra. Who was your first Naja? Who was your first singer or movie star or anime or television show that you were just obsessed with? I mean, you had posters on the wall. If someone said something bad about it, you wouldn't go as far as, eliminating them, you know what I'm saying, like Dre, but you might have gave them an evil eye. So, Tyra, what was your first Naja?
When I tell you, Elliot, I never had a Naja. Like, I was an equal opportunist type of art. Like, I loved a little bit of everybody. I've never gotten the obsession over, an artist enough to, forgo rent money for tickets and just really devote all of my time and effort to them. Like, I like a little bit of everybody. It's never been that for me. I never got it, Elliot. Like, I love music and I love, artistry and videos and concerts just as much as the next person. But as far as like throwing up posters, never.
Even though she got a poster of Tupac right behind her there, but we ain't gonna say that. That's all good. That's all good. Same question for you. Who was that Naja for you? Whether it was now or when you were younger, where again you got posters, you got magazines, you begging mom and dad for the allowance money early for you can go see this person in concert, or go to a movie to see them. Who was that person for you, or IP or cartoon or whatever the case may be?
So I remember distinctly spending lots and lots of time on my posters, and I'm about to date myself, so y'all mind y'all business, from Right On magazine and like all the magazines from back in the day. They used to have posters inside of them, and I used to get the magazines and get the posters out and put them on my wall of Immature, okay, and Tevin Campbell, all right, and Genuine, all right, because I like to look at what I'm looking at. You know what I'm saying? That was back in the day when I was a child too. But in terms of the movies, my very first movie, like don't play behind him because we gonna have a problem, was River Phoenix. To be quite honest with you, I was
rest in peace
with R.I.P. to River Phoenix. I was obsessed with him since Stand By Me, and then Little Trouble in Big China. That was my guy. So I still have these people now, but I gotta watch it after this video. I like to play and be like, oh, we're gonna be best friends, or I need to not say that because I don't want nobody thinking that I'm a, you know what I'm saying, come unglued.
Hey, much respect. That's taking it back to with the 90s and a lot of those great R&B singers, and shout out to Phoenix, man. Rest in peace. A young career, and was poised to be like where his brother's doing right now, Oscar-winning movies or what have you. So those are some great ones. I think for me, it was never an artist. I had, I'm my favorite rapper of all time is Jay-Z. So I had like artists that I appreciate, but I never put posters on the wall, what have you. But I gotta say, man, your boy was a huge Power Rangers fan. It was pretty wild. It was pretty crazy how much I was in the Power Rangers. I mean, they were fire. You know what I'm saying? It's not too out of the realm of possibility because it was a great show growing up. But that was my Naja for me growing up, was just posters, movies, watched all the shows, talked about it like crazy with all my friends. That was my thing growing up. So
have you watched the Power Rangers as an adult?
I have not. I have not. I've seen like clips online, people repost, clips of like some of the newer stuff or the stuff in the last decade or so, but I haven't personally sat down and watched an episode of Power Rangers.
I haven't either, but I've seen the clip. Like I know, one of the Power Rangers passed away. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, Tommy the Green Ranger,
the green one.
Go.
Right. And they, it just kind of came up and it popped up in my YouTube, and I watched it, and it's so funny to see. I was like fully invested into these storylines with this terrible editing and acting, and just terrible. But I was invested, so I'm right there.
Same here. And I take that back. The last time I saw Power Rangers, because you asked me an adult wise, I saw the 2017 movie, the Power Rangers movie, which is kind of underrated. It wasn't perfect by any means, but it had a pretty good cast, and but it wasn't what I grew up with per se, but I had a good time with it. But Power Rangers, y'all. Power Rangers. Let us know in the chat too, if everyone watching, who was your Naja? Who was the artist that you had on the wall, maybe still do have on the wall now, or movie you were so obsessed with growing up, or TV show, or an anime character? Let us know in the chat. And speaking of the chat, Sweet November 79 coming through.
Hey, it's my girl.
Showing some love. She's out of town on a work trip, but had to come through, show some love. But she says, out of town on a work trip, and this is the right time for me to say hi to Elliot, my girl Tyra, and the YouTube cuz LB. Well, listen, you stay safe. You have a good work trip. And we appreciate you showing some love and, showing that love on the financial side of it all with the super chat. I appreciate you. So thank you. And again, thank you to everyone that's joining us live. Excuse me, I'm coming over a cold, y'all. I got to get my Naja juice in me. Trying to get some energy like Dre. But play some music for some Naja. But we got 123 people out there. Thank you for tuning in. Hit the thumbs up, share, and leave your thoughts in the comments. So I guess we just jump right into it. What were, and I want to start with you, Elle. We briefly touched on it as far as like anticipation, but did you watch a trailer prior to it coming out? Were you familiar with who was behind the scenes? And then jumping into when you press play on that first episode, what was your initial reaction?
Yeah, I did. You know, I did my Googles. You know what I mean? I did my Googles and found out about, you know, Donald Glover and Janine Nabers and, you know, and what's Donald Glover's brother's name?
Stephen Glover.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you know,
actually was in the show as well.
Yeah. And was excited about it because Dominique Fishback, point blank and period. And I knew it was gonna be great, but I really wasn't prepared. I really wasn't. They came in hot. Like they just didn't give us a chance to like settle in and like get acclimated. They just bust us in the head with the story. And we were just in there. It wasn't no coming back from that. After the first like 10 or 15 minutes of the episode, I was like, oh, okay, we got something on our hands right now.
Yeah, so, literally within the first 5 minutes. I mean, everyone's out of there up in arms with a certain scene that we'll talk about. But yeah.
I didn't know about, and I was like, man, we'll talk about it.
Sour, same for you as far as this kind of anticipation. I know when we had our Atlanta discussions, you had your moments of season 4. There were some things you were like, man, I wish they would have done some things better. But leading up into this, after knowing Donald Glover's work, and Janine Nabers is a phenomenal creator in her own right, what was the excitement level that you watched the trailer prior to it? And same question I have for Elle, after you got done watching our first episode, were you like, oh yeah, this is my type of show?
First of all, Elliot, the excitement was up here.
Yeah.
It was up here because, you know, not to do Donald like that, as well as Janine Nabers, who is a part of the show as well. Like, he has so much hype to live up to because Atlanta is an incredible show. So to give us anything less than that, it would have been like, this was not this. Man, Elliot, I wasn't prepared. I was not ready. I think with watching the trailer, everybody was just under the assumption. I know myself, I was like, oh, we finna get into fandom. That's giving Beyonce. We about to get into, you know, these obsessed, you know, I'll dox you, post your name, your address, you know, these really obsessive fans. When the story was just so much more than that. And that was kind of window dressing, in my opinion, to get us really interested in somebody like Drea. After I watched the first episode, you know, us being into horror, there were so many clicks just going off into my head. I saw Candyman, I saw Sleepaway Camp, I saw so many references, Elliot, and I was just so excited. And then I just paused and I was like, I think if this is what I think it is, this feels like some villainous like origin story.
Right.
And I'm like, we're gonna grow with her as a character. And I just got Patrick Bateman, and I was getting really excited. And by the time we got to episode 2, I was like, yeah, this is exactly what I thought it was. And I was just really excited to even get a glimpse into what could possibly be a female Black serial killer. We ain't never had one of them.
Nah, not on this scale. Not with this type of talent behind it. So true. And that's definitely a topic of conversation we have lined up. But yeah, and also shout out to I'm reading all the comments here. B2K, Spice Girls, Wayne. I was a Wayne head. It was what was that time? I think like 9 saying that 08 to like 2010 or so, when he was on everyone's track. He was freestyling on everyone, just murdering everyone on the own track. So shout out to Weezy back in the day. But speaking of shouting out, we got another guest in the back room who is a homie of mine, big fan of his work. He had an opportunity to cover the show on his channel over the weekend, so definitely check out his live stream. I was on his movie roundup show yesterday. So excited to have him on. I don't know. Listen, I don't want to give locations, but let's just say our guest is in a similar area to our character that we're talking about tonight. So I'm wondering if he came across any Dreas in his past, because you know his next guest, he got a big audience, y'all. He got maybe some crazy fans out there. I guess we'll find out. But I'm talking about my man B. Avery from Just My Opinion Reviews. What's going on, B?
Hey, how you doing? How y'all doing?
Hey,
doing good, B. Doing good, man.
Oh,
talking about this more, man. Of course, man. We talking about this show, B, that again, like I said, you covered over the weekend. We're gonna obviously have some more conversations tonight, man. But this is a show that just is having a lot of people buzzing. You know, I'm trying to think as many B puns that I'm gonna try to bring tonight. So put that in the checkbook. But B, man, how we doing tonight, man?
Doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good. Been looking forward to this all day. I'm really curious on what everybody has to say, especially LB, and Tyra, especially. And so I'm excited. I was listening to you guys' expectations as you was coming in, and it was just quite interesting how different it was from mine. So I'm excited to talk some Swarm. So
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, listen, y'all. Brandon has been on the channel many a times, but just in case Brandon, they haven't seen you, heard of you, which is crazy in my opinion. But why don't you let them know where they can find Just My Opinion?
Thank you, sir. You can find me here on YouTube, Just My Opinion Reviews, or the website justmyopinion.net. Social media handles on the screen. And like Elliot, I talk about, the most passionate things to me as far as television and movies is concerned. And right now we're talking Swarm, but I do movie reviews, trailer reactions. I have a weekly movie news roundup show, and just talking about anything in the entertainment industry that's trending, and right now swarming. So if you like that type of thing, follow me, subscribe, all that good stuff.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So Brandon, man, just to kind of jump into the conversation, man, and just a question I have for L as well as Tyra was, who was your Naja growing up, man? Who was that, singer, rapper, movie star, TV show? What was the posters all through BAV's room when he was growing up? Or even now, man, who's that, is there someone that you are a big fan of?
Michael Jackson, King
MJ?
of Pop.
Yeah,
I love Michael Jackson. He can do no wrong. I mean, I still am not over his passing. My heart was broken, of course, like everybody else's. But if somebody asked me recently, like if you could wish anyone back from the dead, who would it be? Michael Jackson was like, that person. He just the best, the best there ever was. And so Michael, and I also I'm a big fan of Power Rangers too, Elliot. And so gotta represent. I was trying to get in when y'all was talking about, like, oh my God, I gotta hurry up.
Yeah. Hey, shout out to MJ, man. And interesting enough, we'll talk about the daughter of Michael Jackson that I did not know was going to be in this series, who has a very funny joke that we'll definitely get into. But let's toss him right back to you, B. As far as expectations, I know you're a big fan of Atlanta like myself. I don't know if you got a chance to see the trailer, but what was your anticipation going to the series? And after you got done watching that first episode, was it one of those like, I got to see what's happening next? Or like, what am I getting into here?
More the latter. And to be honest with you, I think you're the first person I ever heard talk about it or saw something being promoted on your channel. And I'm like, how in the world? Like, where I been? I've been under a rock. Like, how did this get over my radar, under my radar? And I checked out the trailer and the synopsis on IMDb. I was confused because it said drama and comedy. And I'm a scary cat, and I saw the trailer, and it's blood everywhere. I'm like, wait a minute now. Is this gonna be too much for me? So I pressed play very, very nervous. I was very skeptical. Didn't know what I was gonna get. Just like, okay, let me take a deep breath. And I was like, oh, I looked, but even before that, I saw that Damson was in it, and it was done by your boy. Why can't I remember his name? Donald Glover or whatever. Yes, and I didn't know who Janine Nabers was. That was a name that was fresh for me, and I was like, well, I do like the people in it. We got the one of the sisters in it. She fine. I was like, okay, that's getting me excited. And then I saw in the first episode, I'm like, whoa, okay. I didn't think I was gonna see all of that, but no, I was very scared, man. Press and play. I was. It was very uncomfortable for me. I had to take a break after the first episode. Like, damn. But I was confused. It was still such a great episode. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It was great TV. It was a great production. It was great everything. Like one of y'all said, we never got it before. Or I think Ty was saying like a black woman serial killer. Mm-hmm. But I was like, man, and I saw and then I was just like, I gotta watch Elliot video. Like as soon as it was done, I watched your video. And I was like, you was breaking it down, and I saw where you said that you read an article about after she did that performance in the first episode, she got a standing ovation. And I was like, I see why, But man, it freaked me out. It freaked me out, and I didn't know. I didn't know if I was going to be able to keep going. I did. I finished the whole thing, of course, but I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot to take in. And when you brought up earlier, we know Donald Glover's great work on Atlanta, but Janine Nabers actually was she wrote a couple episodes of the last season, was a part of Watchmen, and has a great resume on her own. So yeah, this was definitely a collaboration that I love and would love to see more of these two. But yeah, Brandon, I'm the complete opposite of you, like you mentioned, as far as Tyra, us being horror fans. I was locked in right off that first bat. As we'll break down the episode, it's not stereotypical, but we have a girl that seems to be kind of socially awkward, a friend that seems to be a little bit more up to beat with just kind of keeping active and being social. And we'll talk about the tragedy. Once that tragedy hit, I'm like, oh, this is kind of getting deep and get into the psychological drama. And then when we end on that moment that we'll talk about, I'm like, okay, yes, we are into something special. But speaking of special, we got another special guest, first time on the channel. This is our last guest who's going to be joining us tonight. I'm so excited to get her thoughts on this episode. She's someone that I've seen in various different videos I've covered, and I really want to collab with her and get the opportunity to do so tonight. She has her own amazing YouTube channel covering various shows and movies, and just very excited to talk to her. So I'm about the one and only Her Real Reviews. What's going on?
Hey, can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you good. We can hear you good. How you doing this evening?
Everybody.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
I've been looking up to you guys for so long. I follow all of your channels, so I'm just excited to be in the building.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, Kwana. Appreciate you. And again, just jumping right into the conversation before we get your thoughts on this show and knowing who your Naja is. Why don't you let the people at home know who you are when they can find your content?
All right. Well, my name is Kwana, and I have a channel called Her Real Review here on YouTube. So you can find me on here, Twitter, all major platforms. I'm a teacher, a mom, and I just love movies and television shows. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, Kwana, you might have to educate us tonight on your thoughts on Swarm. But just jumping right into it, Kwana. First off, just a little icebreaker. Who was your Naja? Just got to know. Since everyone on the panel let us know, who was that person? Again, you had on the wall. You went to the concerts. You went to the movies. Who was that person growing up for you that you, again, not going to the extreme of Dre, but if someone said something bad about that person, you looking at them like, man, I tell you what, who was that Naja for you?
My person was none other than the king of pop, Michael Jackson.
There you go. It's behavior answer too. Yeah.
I broke down when he passed because I was like, I just knew I was going to go see that last tour right before he passed. And so I went to go see This Is It in theaters, dressed up in cosplay. I was ready. So yeah, that was my Naja. But I do respect the queen herself. We're not going to say her name, but we know who she is. I do got my tickets ready.
It's like we're treating her like she's Voldemort. Like,
hey,
you can't
gotta
say
be
her
careful.
name.
Right, you got to be careful out there in these streets. You got to be careful, Gotcha. Well, hey, just tossing to you, Kwana, as far as just your initial impressions with this first episode after you got done with it, and just kind of anticipation going into the first episode and the show in general.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that first trailer, I was like, I'm locked in. I have just recently started getting back into horror, and so I've been devouring everything that had a black body in it. At the minute that Nia DaCosta was doing Candyman, I was like, okay, well, this is the Renaissance. You got Jordan Peele, you got Nia DaCosta. I'm ready. I'm doing this. And so seeing this, I was really excited. And that first episode, like I said, I'm a fan of everybody who's involved with the project. And that first episode, I was like, wow, this girl has got it. I'm predicting the year of Dominique Fishback and Jonathan Majors. This is their time. Like those two are heavy hitters. So this was something.
Yeah, no, this is definitely this, and she got Transformer coming out later this summer. So yeah, this is definitely a year for Miss Dominique, and well deserved. But getting into this episode, which was titled Stung, and Tyra, again, just briefly, we again, I talked about it. We kind of are introduced to our main character, Drea. She's listening to Naja, and I guess just getting this off the bat, the conversation I've seen online this weekend, which is still baffling to me because it's like these are actors. It's like you guys are so taboo as far as sexual nature. But Tyra, any thoughts on the commentary on our first major scene? Did it catch you off guard? Was it just like, we're all adults here? And just, I guess, your thoughts on some of the commentary you've seen online with Chole Bailey, who I haven't really been too exposed to her. I'm very familiar with her and her sister. I've actually, since the show dropped, when I saw it, I've listened to some music. Very incredible singer. So definitely excited to dive deeper into her albums, her music. But any thoughts on the social media toxic stuff going on around about her and people's opinion on her? Just curious on your thoughts on that.
Not at all. Like, yeah. I was late to watching the show, so I was anticipating like make me feel good monthly ball energy. I thought it was real nasty. And I was anticipating the nastiness, Elliot. I was like, all right, I'm sitting up. You hear the moans from the hallway. I thought we were really going to engage, or it was going to be really something that would be head turning. This is not going to make my head turn all that much. Like, I was like, okay, well, I could see the raunchiness. Everybody is still just adjusting to looking at her outside of being young, innocent. Yeah. She's of age. I mean, like, leave her alone. Stop acting like she don't get them cheeks clapped on the regular. I didn't think it was all that much. I didn't. It was cute. It was steady. The stroke was stroking, but I wasn't like, oh my God, I can see why everybody is just like, oh, this is just so much. I think it was sweaty, but it was tasteful. With some of the stuff that we've seen, face down, up. It's not just all that unfamiliar territory. I expected a little bit more with the uproar, Elliot.
Yeah, I was baffled by it. Again, acting, they're actors. This is, some people were like, I can't believe they were having sex on camera. Like, what? What are y'all talking about? Were you watching another show? Yeah. So yeah, it baffled me. But Elle, same question for you. I don't know if you've seen some of the commentary online. And listen, I understand for some people it could be shocking, especially, again, I don't know too much about them, but I'm kind of doing the research. Her and her sister kind of grew up on YouTube, and everyone has, the kid in mind, but she's 23 years old. That kid is 10 years in the future, in the past. But I'm just curious on what you thought about the commentary online, and also too, just, I guess, just the scene itself. Did it speak to you as far as their relationship? Like, why is the door open? That your roommates at home. Was it intentional? Was it Khalid that did that? I guess your thoughts on the scene as well.
So you see my reaction right now. That's exactly what I was doing when I was watching the thing.
It's just like,
because I was like, wait a minute. First of all, we were only like 4 minutes and 22 seconds in. Like, I wasn't.
Listen, I got the episode popped up now. It's 2 minutes in.
That's what I'm saying. Minutes, like, the timing of it, that's what got me off guard. Like, it was two grown people doing what grown people do. Right, exactly. Like, I was still like, I was getting situated. Like, I was getting organized in my bed, to watch the show, and they was in there doing what grown people do, and I was like, wait a damn minute. I just, what I'm saying? I don't know. It was the time.
You were like, Dre, like, what am I watching? Am I watching the right show?
Yeah. And then this was the part that I was laughing at, because she was, it like the look on her face. She wasn't impressed. She wasn't grossed out. She wasn't like, it was just like, oh, for real? Like, that's, okay, this is interesting. It was like she was watching a documentary or something. I was killing myself laughing. And I don't know. I mean, for me, it did take me aback seeing Chole Bailey with her ass in the air. I just wasn't prepared for that part. Like, I thought we were gonna do some, just ease me into that part of it. You know what I'm saying? That's like my little cousin. Like, you know what I mean?
I got you.
You know what I mean? She's grown, and she, I know that she do what grown people do, but just give me a minute for me to settle in. Like, calm, you know what I mean? Like, calm down a bit. But it is what it is, and she's grown, and it was fine, and she got a nice butt. I mean, it was great for me. I like sex scenes. I'm a creep, and that's fine. I say that all the time. So
I was there with you, Elle. I was like, oh, that ass. That's what I had said.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly.
So I don't do reaction on my channel because I'm not a very reactionary person. I watch things unless it's like catching me off guard. But you just sitting in your house. I was watching it in the middle of the night, and I normally like to have the sound on, lights off, try to get into the mood. But then I was kind of looking at my phone when the scene was happening. And I immediately was like trying to grab a remote control because I don't want my neighbors thinking I'm watching something a little later at night. So that it did catch me off guard. But like everyone's saying in chat, it was like 5 seconds, man. So, but B, tossing it to you, man. We got our man who I don't watch Snowfall. That's the only thing I really know that Idris comes from, and I know he's been in some other films, and I'm really excited to see his career continue to grow out. So just your thoughts be on the commentary online about the situation, and also too if you had any more commentary about the actual scene again, because it's like, Dre, what are you doing? Why are you watching your sister, who we find out to be having sex with her boyfriend? Is that some what we got going on? So just your thoughts in general, B.
Yeah, man. As far as the commentary online, I saw a few posts from the Shade Room on IG. And they were, polar opposites of each other. Some people were like, "Oh my God, I can't believe little Chloe is got her ass out in the air." Yada yada yada. I don't see no beach ball in between them. Looked like they was really doing it. And and on the flip side, I was laughing because somebody made a comment like, "Man, you can tell all these comments from other people that have boring sex lives, in their life that are making a big deal about this." And I kind of got a tickle out of that. I'm also just kind of curious on why she did the scene, because she said she was very uncomfortable to do it, but Damson did make her comfortable. I mean, she talked about the clothes set and stuff, but since it was so short, I'm just kind of saying to myself, like, well, why do it? I mean, I mean, she can do it if she wants to, but if it made you uncomfortable, I was just kind of curious. But I didn't know what to think about the actual scene, because I was really more concerned with what Dre was thinking, because I didn't know if she was disgusted or if she was kind of jealous or hating, like, man, that looks nice. Or, he made the comment like she was a virgin. And so was this her first time ever experiencing, not experiencing, but like witnessing sex? Has she not had sex, ever in life? And this is the first time she's ever seen it in real life, and she was like, "Oh, that's how it works." I don't know. So it just, I was thinking, does she think that way, or is she turned on, or does she want to go in there, or does she think that he's an a-hole? And we find out that she does feel that way. Like, well, she really doesn't like anybody that Marissa was with at the beginning. But I was thinking all of those things.
Trying
she to wanted to be there.
She wanted to be there.
Well, not with him. She wanted to give her, as we get further into the show, we see that they have some attachment. Because I was confused with reading the description. It was like Dre plans her sister's birthday surprise. And I was like, something about them with me watching this, it doesn't really give me blood sisters. So it was a little off. But with her standing there being a voyeur, it was just like, what are you, what is all this pleasure? What is all the moaning for? Like, you are really getting your life from that. The only time I, get any of that resembled, that type of sensation is, me getting these tickets. Like that just
go listen to Naja's music. Yeah.
And then, like I just don't get it. I have that for something like Naja, but I didn't think that she, wanted to be in her place. I thought she just wanted to have that same, like, I want to fulfill her in that way, but I can't, she doesn't desire me like that. But what I can do is give her these tickets. Soon as she get these tickets, this ain't gonna matter, because this is gonna eclipse every single sensation that you are giving her sexually. That's what I thought.
Very interesting. Real, same question for you. Just your thoughts, if you have any thoughts on the commentary online, if it took you by surprise, of again, it was just like, I watch movies and shows and see this stuff all the time, and also too, just curious on your thoughts on the scene, and to Tyra's point, did you feel like that was kind of what was going on in Dre's head? To me personally, it goes back to, I want to say it was episode with the strippers, episode 3, when she's in the car talking about, what do you think about men? And she talks about, we don't need men, we don't need sexual pleasure. So I think, to me, that's where my mind went. Obviously I didn't know that during the scene because I didn't see episode 3, but now thinking back on episode 3, maybe she's just like, why are you having sex? Like, why? What do we need to have sex for? Even though she gets some a little bit later in this episode. But Real, your thoughts on just everything we just said as far as that scene there?
Yeah, I'm a first say I'm a Chloe and Halle fan. If you read my bio on Twitter, it literally says stream ungodly hour for clear skin. So I've been a fan, but I've slowly been able to see Chloe as like a sexual being. She's been teeing up for this for about a good year and a half, getting us ready. So I watched this like 7 a.m. Like I was scrambling my eggs and I was watching it on my phone, and I was like, okay. And then it went away in 20 seconds. And so then I moved on. When I watched it again later on that day, I was more kind of like Brandon said, I was more looking at Damson and was more like, oh, he's a creep. Like he's grimy. He over here looking at her like, yeah, you liking it. And so that's immediately what I thought the scene was trying to do, was one, just set up how grimy kind of he was, kind of showing that, kind of preparing us for what came later, which was her killing him, so that we wouldn't feel sympathy for him, kind of setting him up as like a worthy kill for her. But then also setting up like that divide between the two of them. Like, I think there's layers to it. Like, how dare you come between me and, my sister? You're providing my sister something I can't. You're getting close to her in a way that I can't. And I think she was more like not envious of the sex, but more just like seeing how close they were, and was like almost like she started plotting. I think at that moment, like, I got to get rid of you. I got to get rid of you. I got to get you out of the picture. That's what I thought that the look was for. Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, let us know in the chat, guys. Let us know again on the commentary of it all, the scene, if you have any takes on that, and of course any deeper meanings of what you all thought about Dre being a kind of a weirdo in that moment watching them. But get into going off what Real just mentioned, B. I want to toss it to you. We get this scene kind of, and again, this kind of transition to the rest of the episode. We get the sense that Dre does not like Khalid, and we figure out a little bit later why, because he's not a faithful dude. Dre is going to be looking at or covering Marissa's shift because she's going to be doing some a makeup gig. But then we get a quieter moment here, B, that I was just curious on what you initially thought on when you saw this moment when they're in their room and then, doing the makeup, and she kisses the scar on her wrist, Marissa's scar on her wrist. Did you immediately think that was self-inflicted? And obviously we'll get to what happened to Marissa a little bit later, but just your thoughts on this scene and the sisterhood and the bond. Did you really feel that between these two characters early on?
Oh, 1000%. I knew what it was, unfortunately, as soon as I saw it. And you can see how close and comfortable they were. Because I think, like, even the shot after this, they was laying in bed. And I was like, what is this relationship between them? Like, I mean, are they sisters or lovers? Or I don't know. But it was blatantly obvious to me that Dre was attracted to Marissa in some way. I don't think it was really. I don't think Marissa looked at her that way. Right. But I do feel that and that may be weird, but I'm just being honest. I feel that if Marissa, I feel like she had a romantic attraction to Marissa. I could be wrong, but and also I was just kind of thinking maybe she feels responsible for it too. Just the way that she was looking at it and kissing it and stuff. But yeah, it was very one-sided to me, at least.
Gotcha. Yeah, I guess I never, and I've seen the series a couple times now. I guess I never looked at that attraction towards Dre had for Marissa, but it could be some. I don't know. Tossing to you, Real. Did you have off of B's last comment? Did you feel like there was some type of attraction there, and also just your thoughts on their sisterhood?
So one of the things I brought up in one of my videos was single white female. And I think there's this fixation that she has, right? And we see, of course, later when we get to know how she came to be her sister, that there was, I don't want to say too much because I feel like we just get warmed up, but I feel like there was just this obsession that she had with Marissa, even more than the obsession with Naija, if that makes any sense. And I can't help but still, I don't feel like they fully answered it in the show. I think it's up to us to understand. But when she kissed that scar, Marissa was like, you don't have to do that every time you see it. And so I know that it was leading us to think it was self-inflicted. But the more I sit on it, I can't help but think that Dre inflicted that scar on her.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
I mean, to your point, maybe, going back to which, not jump too far ahead, but when we find out what happened at that that sleepover, maybe, I don't know, Dre could have knife was swinging around, cut her wrist, and something that she has
that's
on.
What I was kind of like leaning toward, like, oh, maybe that's when that happened, because the way she said you don't have to kiss it every time you see it. You would kiss the scar if you inflicted it,
Right.
like, I'm trying to make it better.
Right. Listen, man, this is why I love to have these conversations. Blowing my mind real. L, your thoughts on, again, their friendship, that you find there was maybe an attraction, like B said, maybe more one-sided with Dre towards Marissa. And just your thoughts on this relationship in general.
Dre didn't give me I want to sex you up. Like, she didn't give me that. Like, she didn't make me any of her behavior. It wasn't like she was sexually attracted to Marissa. I think that Dre, obviously, not think that, we know that she has some mental health issues, right? And I think that she, in my opinion, is neurodivergent, and Dre is anyway. And I think that she does not know how to respect people's boundaries, and she doesn't understand social cues and what's appropriate and what's not. And I saw her kissing that, because it wasn't like a we about to make out, like, I just it wasn't that. It was passion and it was care, but it wasn't sexual in nature, in my opinion. It was like a concern, like, oh my God, I almost lost you. Like, I can't believe that. And every time I see that, I just want to make you know that this is not what you have to do, and I'm here for you, and blah, blah, blah. It didn't give me sexual, but it did give me back up a little bit. You know what I mean? Because if you see, like, you could see, you see my wrist 12 times since we've been on this panel. And if you want to kiss my wrist every time you see it, like, that's not appropriate at all, right? And so for Marissa, I think they have a very codependent relation. They had a very codependent relationship. But I didn't get sexual. I just got, like, good girlfriends. I got sisters. I got very because women, when they are close, women can be close, baby. Like, I'm talking about, people will think that they are together, but they are not at all. Like, I know someone who was pregnant and her best friend gave her a wax, like, before she went in to have her baby. Like, I'm talking about lift your leg up, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, get in there, all the nooks and crannies of it, because they're good girlfriends, and it wasn't no big deal. So I think that's what I was getting more so than, body roll.
Right. Interesting. A lot of great stuff there. Tyra, I mean, wrapping up this kind of conversation and obviously we'll talk about it, because one of my, not concerns, but I was very shocked when Marissa passes away, that we'll talk about. Because I'm like, oh, I thought Chole, because when you saw the show, the trailer, they market her name, and obviously we know she's a star within her own right. So I'm like, damn, she's just one episode, one and done. But now she came back a little bit later. But getting to your thoughts, Tyra, on that relationship between two, the self-inflicted wound. Are you in Real's camp that maybe it was Dre that cut her accidentally and is always like apologizing for what happened? Just your thoughts on these two characters.
Absolutely not. I feel like it was self-inflicted. Once upon a time, her kissing it, I could get sexual from it, not from Marissa's point, but from Drea, because in all facets, as far as relationships, from a very early age, of course, when we find out later, that's all she's ever known. That's all she's ever had. She's attached herself to her so heavily that I feel like if she took it there and Marissa said, it's acceptable for you to be that way towards me, she would, absolutely go for it. She, in the via this episode, to me, is more obsessed with Marissa than she is with Queen Naja. The only reason her interest is just so heightened with her is because of Marissa. Once we have a moment of her, I think she finds her phone, or she's looking at an old video, and they're kids, and like, we snuck out for this, and she's trying to imitate what she's doing. She's constantly trying to follow her. And then you kind of get into this codependent relationship, with them, because it really just low-key looks like it's mostly Drea who is, tagging herself on to her. Like, why are you attaching? You get so many vibes from every single person that they run into. Like, why is she always here? Why are you still hanging out with her? You need to detach herself. And of course, later you have Marissa feel like, you know what? I feel like you're bringing me down. You always have a problem. But in the same token, once she gets up, not only are we having sex with the door wide open, but I'm out, I'm paying for, your banana flavored condoms. Hey, can you go and get me and my man some Frenchies? No. Or, can you cover my shift? You can tell that it is like really, really codependent, and it's not just Drea, because even though we have her do what she does later, the moment that she needed Drea, why aren't you picking up? I need you here. Like you're always here when I need you. And, am I beck and call a little bit? And the moment that you aren't, it is, a problem. So though she was taking care of her, I guess, financially with the bills and whatnot, when she is prioritizing tickets over rent, it's still like, she's not taking care of her in a sense of really helping her. She's attached herself to her, but it's really clear to see that something is mentally wrong. And there's a disconnect happening with Drea to where she is mentally delayed, like kind of in a state of a child. Even when we catch her standing there and she's being avoided, you ever walk in on your parents and you just stuck? Like,
no, I'm glad I've never experienced that. I have never experienced that. I'm so glad I didn't.
You're walking in on somebody and it's just like just being stuck. And there's so many references to, what are you, 12? Like, why are you idolizing this person? Because for so long that was the soul tie as far as her and Marissa. Marissa loved Nyjah, so in turn she loved her just as much. I can really prove myself in my devotion and really, give her something that he can't give by giving her, these tickets. But I feel like she was just really, really obsessed with Marissa more so than Nyjah. So I think if it would have, turned into something sexual on Marissa's part, I don't know about, females being close. I'm not the closest approachable female in the world. Like, nah, I just I just really don't get their the interactions, but just the kiss, I feel like that is stemming from the later relationship we get into when we get to know about her parents and what stem from that. But I feel like that the attachment isn't just solely coming off of Drea, and it's also coming off of Marissa.
Interesting. And I'm reading some of the comments here, and I quickly before we move on to the next point and going to you, because I think when I pulled it up, you had a reaction there. Do y'all feel like, I guess just everyone in the chat and everyone in the panel, starting with you, B, do you feel like Marissa, based off of what we've seen and what we've heard of their relationship, was she a horrible friend to Drake?
No. I mean, she was at her wit's end, being tolerable towards the end. She was tired of her. Like, you can beat her for somebody only so much, and I think that maybe Dre had the mindset like she just wanted her to feel sorry for her, and she's like, no, I'm not going to do that. Like, come on now, you can't just be, even I don't care what you've gone through, you still just can't be doing whatever you want, not like Tyra said, not choosing $1,800 tickets over rent, etc. Because she was like, she was gonna go move in with Khalid, and she was like, no, we can't do this no more. I'm tired. That may have been mean, but it may have been necessary too. She was not being an enabler. I don't think that she was being. I'm not trying to pick on you, Bianca. I'm thinking like how.
Yeah, no.
What in what way? What could she have done to be a better friend? I didn't see her shun her at all. I don't know. That's just I look at it different.
Real. Same question for you. Do you feel like the friendship was maybe more one-sided, and Marissa, like I think Tyra and Elle brought it up as far as just kind of that idea that Marissa kind of, when I need you, drop everything. I need you to, whatever you're doing, I need, with the whole phone call situation. Do you think she was a bad friend, or you think it was maybe imbalance? How you feel about that?
I think it was both. I think she was a bad friend who was lying about them daggone condoms, because let's be for real, that woman, she lied about them condoms not being hers. That's why they showed us that first. Then was her extra wet banana flavored condoms. But I think she lied about that. But then at the same time, I think it was she had moved on and grew up in ways that Dre hadn't. And so I think it's both of those things. I think it's that she was still codependent in some ways, but also ready to go on and grow up. And Dre wasn't willing to let her go.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna throw this out here because I teach a film class. I have one student. Y'all pray for me. It's a high school class. If I have one kid, but we just watched Psycho. And the minute I finished watching Psycho, I was like, this is, I can see Janine and Donald being influenced by Psycho in this. Dre is very much Norman Bates.
Norman Bates, yeah.
Very much Norman Bates. And you know what happened with Mama? I think that's, I'm just throwing it out there that I think perhaps that's what happened with Dre and Marissa. And what we find out later once she gets that phone, that absorption.
She was in. Someone was messaging her. Yeah, that was trippy too. Yeah. Same question for you, Tyra. As far as do you feel like she was a bad friend, Marissa, to Dre, or do you think it was just like they got out of what they needed out of the relationship on both sides? How do you feel about that?
I don't necessarily feel like she was a bad friend. You could tell that she was. I notice each and every time that we have Dre being Dre, everybody just writes her off as, oh girl, you crazy. You're so weird. You're so quirky. Like that's just her when she is mentally unstable and she needs some help. Like anybody within any vicinity of Drea should be able to tell that something is wrong here. Something is truly, disconnecting. So and you can't really blame her for just allowing her to flourish and her codependency of her. Like she's just so clingy because she's allowed her to be that for so long. And now that, I feel like this is too much, I want to break away. It's, it's a problem. She is absolutely losing it. Anybody who would, go and spend $2,000 of the rent money on you need to be committed. You absolutely need to go. So it was just almost like a cry for help. Like everything, by the time we have her smoke and she's walking into the mall and they're playing that music, I was like, okay.
That was she's in her own world.
It. She just needs. She is so detached and just so reality, it looked like a child to me, and I just really felt for her. So it was just speaking on mental illness to me, and like listening and watching for those cues and getting people help when they need it. Because now when you are fed up and you want to break away, it's a problem. Like you got a stalker on your hands.
Yeah. That was awful. That was awful, man.
A raccoon going to someone's trash. L, your thoughts on that relationship between the two?
Why does she do that? Like, why?
She crazy, B. She just came out looking like that.
Man.
I mean, L, talk to us.
Weed. I got some weed. Shh, you gonna tell her.
I don't think that Marissa was a bad friend. Like I thought about it because they grew up together, right? Okay, it had to be something else in there. It wasn't just for real. It was late or something. But you have to think about like they grew up together, right? And from the episode with the mom and dad, we know that Dre they didn't really want Dre. And so we don't know how
it was a check pretty much.
Yeah, we don't know how she was treated in that home. And, I know Marissa is the biological child, right? And so was there a difference being made in treatment? And did Marissa kind of feel like, sorry, like, obviously, I got this is my sister, I got to look out for her and X, Y, and Z. And there's no way being around someone like Dre that you could say this person is, A-okay. You know what I mean? Having had that all of their experience, all of their lives together, who else is going to look out for her? If Marissa didn't, she was going to just be Wanda from Holiday Heart, just like she was in the mall, right? So, you know what I'm saying? And it was reciprocal, right? Because Marissa did help her out. Marissa was trying to include her. Marissa always was bringing her along, helping her to do her makeup and teaching her how to do her hair and making sure she didn't, like don't cross this boundary, X, Y, and Z. So yeah, you can go to French's and give me some food because baby, you probably aggravate me for 2 weeks straight. So you can go give me a little sandwich or whatever. I don't even know what French's is, but you can go give me a little sandwich because I had to do all these things for you. You embarrassed me 17 times in a row. Go give me a sandwich. Thank you.
Did they ever establish how old they were?
Would you say?
Did they ever establish how old they were?
No.
I mean, I feel obviously they were over 21. Yeah, I think they were clearly over 21. I'm trying to put the time because I know we were in 2017 through 2016 and 2018, and I couldn't remember if they gave us any signs when they were in middle school. So I would say.
Do y'all remember the year that the son died? You remember they had like a little placard. And it said, because maybe that can give you like a clue about how old they were, but you would have to do the math on it. I ain't trying to do that. But
I don't feel like they were any older than 21.
I won't do that.
With them just discovering themselves, or just flourishing and becoming like their own person. We no longer want to be attached at the hip, especially in the case of Maria. I don't give them any older than 21. They're very, very young.
And dumb.
It's kind of hard because nowadays we know people can sneak into clubs at a younger age.
True.
So they could be somewhere between 18 to 21, even though she was in the club with the white boy.
I mean, she ain't sneaking. She just walked in there like, I own this club.
Walked in there. Yeah. I don't even know if anybody carded her. But
I may have
definitely no more than 21.
College night when I was 15, so you could add 15 in there.
So that's what I'm saying. I remember the day people was getting in there.
If you want to.
Yeah.
No, I think this is it's very interesting as far as the relationship goes, and I was definitely, again, we just met these characters 15 minutes ago before this big blowout, but I didn't blame Marissa for leaving based on the little bit of information we saw in this first episode. She lost her job because of Dre. Well, Klee kind of distracted her, but she didn't have, it's all schematics and all this stuff, but I can understand why she was a little bit upset. But before moving on, before we get that pivot in this first episode, again, we got 230 people watching live. We appreciate you all joining us in this discussion for this fire show. If you guys are enjoying the conversation, make sure you're hitting that thumbs up, share, and more importantly, all these wonderful people you all see on the screen right now, all their information can be found in the description of this video. So click on those links, subscribe, check out their content. I'm telling y'all won't be disappointed. So kind of pivoting over to the big point of the episode here. I want to start with you, Real. Again, we get the blowout between the two friends. She says, I'm going to move in with him. I'm going to go in Atlanta with him after finding out that she bought those tickets. And we know she just opened up this car. We saw it was $1,800 for standing room seats. Crazy. But real, we get the moment where this is where we see Dre, and I can't remember who said on the panel earlier. I think it might have been Elle, when we see the switch in her. This whole episode, I didn't know if she was on the spectrum, if she was just socially awkward. But as soon as Naja gets in the picture, we got a whole new Dre. I mean, she's, doing straight out of my man Sam Jackson from Jungle Fever, all over Tyrone Bigum's just wilding out with the music, which, by the way, that song they dropped the video today of Festival, fire. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think Charles Gambino's on that track. It's a fire song.
Kirby.
But yeah. She's on the floor wilding out, and again, Real, we see her not doing. We saw the picture of her looking like a raccoon. She don't do her own makeup. She don't know how to dress, but all of a sudden, we got a whole new Dre with a dress on, confidence out of this world. What did you think about that switch? Was her? Is it a persona? Is it all kind of she's keeping this secret side of her? Like, what did you think of that switch up from the character?
Yeah, I feel like maybe it's teasing a little bit of like, what is it, DID a little bit, not all the way. I'm not saying she's as far as Moon Knight. I'm not saying she's all the way got it, but with that, and then what we find out later with all the different identities that she takes on, I think it's kind of like really playing borderline with that. Yep. And so like that switch, I think that was her version of dang it, I don't want to be dropping nothing and get us banned on here, but that was her version of Sasha, right? That was her version of Sasha coming to life and embodying it. But that being said, I saw some things that I was like, could everything be, because she's not really a reliable POV
narrator.
That's where I was getting at. Yeah.
She's not really. Mm-hmm. So that all happens after the fight with Marissa. Right. Was that her or was that her absorbing Marissa's confidence and Marissa's personality through the channel of watching Naja's video, but was it really already kind of starting to come in because she was absorbing Marissa, especially with what we find out when she gets back? Could it be a little bit of that? Because we really don't know when whether some of those messages are true now that we know what we know about the phone. I don't know. Just thoughts, but it was something that switched.
Interesting. B man, what did you think about the switch to the character again? Kind of the Moon Knight comparisons with Stephen Grant switching over to the more confident version of who we got with Oscar Isaac with Mark Spector, and just seeing this confidence level on another level, man. What did you think about the switch up? Did you think it was, again, a little bit of split personalities? This is who she always wants to be. This is who she really is in reality. Or is it all made up in her head? Walking in the club, picking up a random dude.
Man, a little bit of all of it. Also, I don't know if it was at this exact time, but a lot of times when she did kind of switch personalities, we got the sound effect of the swarm of bees. Like she was transforming. But for the most part, I thought she was a con artist. I thought all of this confidence that we're seeing right here was her real persona. She was possibly playing everybody else around her like she was, mentally unstable, for attention or sympathy or whatever. I really didn't know though. I was just, it was a lot because the acting was so good. I'm like, this is scaring me kind of, and I don't want to have nightmares. I'm being honest. So I was thinking all of those things, but didn't come to any conclusion. I was just riding it out, waiting to see what happened.
I hear you, man. It is. I mean, on real talk. I mean, it is male, female, whatever the case may be. To someone to switch up like that on based on the artist and how they can put them in the mood is a pretty scary thing to think of. But Tyra,
one more thing real quick. And I was just so shocked when she ended up with the white boy, and how that went. And I was like, what? Like, where did this come from? So I was all over the place.
Yeah, shout out to Rory Culkin, who, if you guys don't know, is the brother of Macaulay Culkin, which, again, I don't know, not to get too, a lot of Michael Jackson's in this show with, obviously his brother and the friendship they had or whatever the case may be. But, Tyra, your thoughts on the situation at hand with Dre and the switch up in the character?
With the way that the show went, because I was borderline with the... I was getting into my American Psycho bag. Like, the things were matching to a T. Patrick Bateman has never been a reliable narrator. Was this all in, her mind? Did this happen? But for the sake of how the show went, I just felt like this was us getting into her alter ego, kind of like a Sasha situation. I can, turn it on and turn it off when I need to, as we can see when she needs to be. Like, it's just absolutely crazy. Borderline with so many personalities, the way that she is able to change herself with pretty much every single city that she goes to. But I decided to take this scene for face value and just really feel like this actually happened, because I just don't see her, even though she just has so much passion for Marissa, I just don't see her taking Marissa out. And then when we get into the true narratives that they tried to incorporate into the story, the rumors, the stuff that is based in reality with somebody like Marissa Jackson, there is, a rumor surrounding that. So I really didn't feel like she did that to her. And I just felt like she just felt, hey, Marissa's gone. I'm going to gravitate to, I still have Naja. She said, it's time for us to get out festival and celebrate. I can turn it off. And there was just that switch of kind of like the Joker. It just felt like we were watching this villain origin story to me, and we were just watching her change before our eyes and just become a different person, and that she can turn it on and turn it off as you would need to be as a serial killer. You are, whatever you need to be to whoever you need to be for at that moment.
Well said. Elle, your thoughts on the switch up in the character, and did you think the whole situation at hand was all a hallucination, or did it actually take place?
Who the hell knows, E? I don't know, man. I really feel like when I first saw it, I was like, oh, this is classic DID. This is DSM-5. Like, this is like a classic case of dissociative identity disorder. Because people being able to like change up that way, that's a very rare thing for people to be able to do. Like, if you are like, I'm L, so I can't just, even if I wanted to just be another person, there's still going to be some mannerisms and what have you that are totally mine, because that's who I genuinely am. But for somebody who has dissociative identity disorder, those things don't matter. And Dre and whoever this lady was with this man in this club, that was not the same person at all, because Dre walked hunched over like she wanted to be invisible, like she wasn't seen, because she probably didn't feel seen in her life. This bitch, she was walking like she wanted everybody to see her, right? And I have great confidence, right? But I can't go up to nobody in the club and be like, yeah, boy, come in, do the like. She just like went up to him and was like, let's dance and let's get Dre. I just don't see Dre doing that. That's a totally different person, like, to even think of doing that. You know what I mean? And I don't want to jump ahead, but the same thing goes for Tony. You know what I mean? That's crazy.
That was Manny Fresh.
You know what I mean? And I feel like it's just too different to be the same person just trying to play. I think somebody commented the talented Mr. Ripley. I think that's a little, I think this is a little more elevated than that.
Gotcha. And to your point too, and shout out to Radio with the super chat. I feel like Dre killed Marissa, and it kind of makes sense in episode 7 with Dre's girlfriend. I mean, that's interesting. I never considered that, especially with when I first, with the conversation we have with the scar on her wrist. I always assumed that it was self-inflicted, and what Marissa did to herself with the overdose was Marissa. But I don't know. Did you guys think, anyone on the panel think that Dre did kill Marissa?
I do, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because it goes back to, I want to say, well, Tyra said it a little bit, but Elle said it too, which is, yes, she watched that Naja video, and that could have been the switch. But when we saw her switch the most into her confident self was usually after a kill. So if you recall in episode 2, after Sir and Haley, Halsey, after them, she goes back to the club, and now she can kind of move a little bit. She can kind of move a little bit more, and she was, doing the thing. So. And then after the situation with the plum and the face and the biting and the Sanaa Lathan reference and everything like that, like, it's almost like maybe she snapped and didn't even realize that it was her.
Wow. Okay.
But maybe that's
okay.
Then that was like taking on that essence of her. I don't. Right. I mean, I think it's a possibility.
That's interesting, because I mean, there's definitely some. So like you just mentioned, there is with episode 2 that we'll talk about here in a second, that we did see that switch up with her dancing much better than she did at the beginning of that episode. My only thing with that is, based on all the kills we saw her do in this season or this show, nothing was as, killing her best friend with giving her drugs. This seems like too thought out. A lot of her killings were like very passionate killings and just, forced trauma. Yeah. So for her to give her pills seems a little bit too beyond her, not saying she wasn't smart, but beyond her kind of scale of how she was killing people. So that's the only thing I can see of that maybe not being the case. But I do like where you're at with that idea that she could have killed her and having that moment of confidence. But I would think, just based on how much she did love Marissa, whether it was codependent, I don't think she would cross that line. But again, we do know when she woke up with Corey, Culkin's brother, she didn't even realize, like, what happened last night. Like, last time she didn't look like she drank anything or smoked anything. So what was that gap between?
She kept saying, I don't drink.
She don't drink. Yeah. So she, So good stuff. Well, I mean, before we get, because we got 7 more episodes, but before we get into the next episode, which was very funny to me, I guess wrapping up this first episode, when we see Marissa does overdose and that switch of the tone, and this is why I think Donald Glover and Janine Nabers are so brilliant in this show. it's hard to play with tones. As we know, all of us cover movies and shows. Not every movie and show is able to give you drama, give you comedy, give you surrealness and horror all within one episode. So, Brandon, when we get to that more dramatic moment, Marissa passes away, and we end the episode with that kill. Take it away, B. Like, what stood out to you? Did it work for you tonally? Did that shift kind of catch you off guard of going from, again, kind of goofy, weird character to a now serial killer? Like, your thoughts on this ending of the show, episode, I should say.
Yeah, man. Like I said earlier, it scared the crap out of me, man. It was a lot for me, and I honestly did not know if I wanted to keep watching the show. I don't think did I start it back that night or the next day. I can't remember. But I know I took another break after episode 4 because that episode kind of made me uncomfortable too. I know for a fact I was like, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people are gonna disagree with me, but I was just like, man, why? I don't want to see a black woman acting like this, And the thing is, any woman, I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I cannot. But I stay away from horror stuff, that. So it may be out there, but I stay away from. Well, I just haven't seen any woman serial killer, black, white, red, yellow, brown, or whatever on any TV show or movie. I just don't have a recent memory of it, let alone a black one. I was like, why did you accept this role? Like, why did you want to be depicted this way of a crazy person that is just like, Russian roulette? Like, I was concerned, and I was like, I wonder what the reception is going to be from the general public. Are they praising Dominique Fishback, or are they gonna like, oh my goodness, what the hell is wrong with you? Why did you do this? This is crazy. This is not a good look for us. All of this was going through my mind. And I was texting somebody about it. I had to, because I knew that they was ahead of me on the show because they was promoting it on their social media. I was like, man, I just finished episode 1.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And I had the 3 emojis where it's like a shock face, like, what the hell? That was like, is that a good emoji or bad? I was like, man, it's a little bit of both. I was like, she did such a great job, but it freaked me out, because that was not only the murder, like, who just goes and just let me eat some pie and with the blood. It just, I was like, damn. It was a lot, Elliot. It was a lot.
Hey, and I respect that, B. But I know Tyra can attest to this. I guess we're just desensitized towards it. I was just like, hell yeah, let's go. I was in it, man. And I completely respect what you're saying, B, as far as like, the perception of women in general and black women, and they don't get enough, not to get too much in the Oscars. Angela Bassett has a phenomenal career and doesn't get that recognition, and so many roles that gets looked over by black women. But I don't know, B and Tyra, I want to talk to you, but I don't know, and not to make us sound like crazy people, but I loved it, man. I love not the murder. I mean, murder taking a black man's life or anything, but I'm just saying, just the whole, like y'all just talked about, from meeting her at the beginning of the episode, this weird, quirky, awkward person, to now this killer. I'm like, this is character stuff that I love. This is stuff I want to see. I don't want us to see, paint by numbers characters and characters we've seen a million times. It caught me so off guard that I just had to see what happened next.
Drea is so interesting and like so complex as a character. I love seeing a black woman in this role. Like, we never get to see this. We always normally get to see a white led serial killer. Most of the time it's a male. But just to see her here, and she's not, which is triggering for everybody else around her, because everybody is just underestimating her as a black woman and what she's capable of, and just assuming that she needs to be rescued. We need to pander, coddle her. And it's like, no, she's a whole freaking serial killer. I love what she represents. Like, I thought it was strong to see her here in this role, because most of the time the black woman is the victim. And not only is she not the victim, but man, she is crazy. I love, like, when she showed up, like, once that, first of all, we showed up to the funeral in an orange bodycon dress. I was like,
you going to the club? I'm from the club. What's going on, Dre?
And that was just this, that confirmation of, the parents want you to leave. I'm like, well, she said it was her sister. Like, what? I was like, okay, there's a whole lot more going on here. Either she is her sister in Christ, or, she was adopted, or, something is wrong. But when you have something just go off in her head, and she idolizes Nija and Marissa, one and the same, we need to protect the queen at all times. The person who threatened the queen the most, and I feel like got us here, is Khalid. And, you know, just going, like, that scene was so intense and it was so good because I think all of us knew what she was there for. At that point, I don't think anybody like knew how she was going to go about attacking him, but we pretty much knew what it was. But just with how innocent she is and how unassuming, and it's just like nobody that we meet from that episode on up just sees her as a threat, like, ever. Like nobody is alone with her, and that's just so scary of, you know, what she could be capable of. When she knocked him over the head and all of the blood splattered, it was giving me Sleepaway Camp, the way her eyes looked this way. I was like, yeah, I was so excited. I was so freaking excited to see so many references just to, and then we get into her, you know, her quirks as a serial killer, because they all have different patterns. When she from this moment, when she kills somebody with normally blunt force, you know, trauma, some large object, she engulfs, you know, on all of this junk food. And it's like kind of this coping mechanism, kind of calling back to her sucking on her two fingers. And it's just, you know, this sensation that it's giving her. And she's like just so liberated. I was like, oh my God, this is a lot, but I love it. Like this is so good. I cannot wait to see the second episode personally.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Real same question for you, just whether you want to take it from the funeral scene to Marissa actually passing away to the moment that we're talking about here with the ending. The stage is yours.
Yeah, I loved, I did not shy away from this. I loved everything about it. Like I said, I started at the minute my kids got to the house at 7 a.m. I was locked in. And as soon as I got back to work and I could, before my classes started, I was finishing. And as soon as my kids got to, I was like, have y'all heard about? So don't say I told you, but I'm just saying it's good. So I loved it, but I love that how strong she is in this role and the many facets of the character that we get to see. I was so intrigued by her consuming that pie at the end. And it just kind of sat with me every episode. I was like, what is this trying, you know, what is it? What are they trying to say with this? What are they trying to say with this? I kept thinking about, you know, the fact that bees gravitate to things that are sweet. That kind of falls apart in some of her snack choices, but for the most part, we see her mostly consuming sweet things. So I was like, is that kind of feeding into that mentality? But also just, you know, going back to something Tyra said earlier, which is just she's kind of locked in on this childlikeness. And I can't help but want to deconstruct later on what little bit of clues we get about that sleepover, because it's almost as though whatever happened there, she's locked there. Like whoever that's the essence of who she is, she's locked in that moment. The sucking on the fingers, the consuming junk food, those are all things kids do. Not to say adults don't have those addictions and those, you know, compulsions, but just that behavior and everything just kind of has her locked in as a kid. And that kind of echoes what Marissa was saying, which is we got to grow up. We can't be kids anymore. She can't shake out of that. But yeah, I'm glad I was happy that she got Khalid. Because he was trying to get on her, and I was like, wait a second, you was sleeping with her sister. You was hitting him in the back. What you doing? So I was glad she took him out.
Well, Elle, question and tossing to you before we wrap into this the second episode. But I guess, did you feel remorse bad for Khalil at that moment, and just your thoughts on Dre in the ending of this episode?
I don't think I necessarily was like, oh, I mean, you know, it. I mean, you know what I mean? Like I wasn't thinking about him. I really wasn't. I didn't pay no attention to him at all. To be honest, I just, you know, and for me, his kill wasn't necessarily. I mean, it could have had something to do with Naija. I mean, with what's that girl named Marissa? But I really think it had to do with the fact that he was like, "Oh, you and Marissa in that cult, huh? That Naija cult." And like he was talking about Naija, and he was like making fun of them and their love for Naija. And she was like, put a pin right there. Because as soon as I get a chance, as soon as I get a minute, it's all over for you. And I think he would have died earlier had Marissa not, you know, had she not, you know, snapped and went to the club, and then Marissa passed away, and then she had to go get kicked out of the, like, he would have been dead a long time. If all of those things wouldn't have happened, he would have probably died that day. because that's all it takes.
Damson.
You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's not a good way for him to go, but this is a fictional character. I wasn't thinking about that man. I was like, damn, like I just, you know what I mean?
I cared.
As it relates to what B was saying, I love seeing her in this role. I love seeing black women in roles where they come unglued. We're gonna eat that up every time. We're gonna eat it up every time. Do you not remember Bernice from Waiting to Exhale when she lit that man car on fire? She came.
Are we comparing burning up a car to beating somebody to death?
No, we're not. I'm just saying when black women come unglued in these roles, we're gonna eat it up. Like black women can be crazy too. Black women can be all of the things, and and in these roles, like I just feel like it's just supreme. I love this for her, and especially because she just looks so innocent. Like her face is just so sweet, and I would never think that she would bludgeon somebody to death 9 times in a row. But I think that's great, and I would love to see more black women serial killers. That would be great for me. The only thing I didn't get though was the I heard what y'all was saying, but it just that's what threw me off was the pie, because it was like murder snacks, like it wasn't no break between the two, and I just was confused about it. So that was interesting to me more so than Polka Lead. I'm sure he'd be all right.
Go ahead,
she don't get me wrong, she did an amazing job. It just gave me the EBGBs, that's all.
I got you, man. Because again, it is it's a very tonal shift, and it can be jarring to kind of see that. And I understand where you're coming from. But again, I'm just, man, I love me some horror, bro. You know what I'm saying?
I did see High Tension. I actually own it. I forgot about that movie.
Not High Tension.
There's some good ones out there. Some good ones. But I mean, again, going after this first episode, I just couldn't wait to watch the next one, which just kind of jumping right into this second episode and not doing like a scene breakdown like we did with episode 1, because I wanted to do that because it was a pilot episode. And it was just a great pilot episode in my opinion. But get into the second episode, which I believe was titled Honey. Again, keeping to the themes of bees and swarms and all that. But was there a moment in the second episode that really stood out to you? Again, just kind of getting everyone up to speed with the second episodes where we jump to she's now moved from Houston. She's now, I believe, in Tennessee, and we now see her and it's August of 2017. She's a stripper. We see that she now has this a mission on hand where she's looking for the guy that made fun of Marissa passing away and all that stuff. So just anything in this episode real that stood out to you from a comedy level to a crazy level? Take it away.
Can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, good. I had to switch up my setup. Man, this episode was crazy meta, right? With Paris Jackson in it. And I'm liking Paris Jackson and stuff. She was in American Horror Stories, and she's actually, I was impressed, although kind of, it was very ironic. But what stuck to me most was her killing of Tonk, of Reggie, because you had like the double of like him being dismissive and hateful online toward Nyjah, but then also what he was saying about Marissa's death. So it was like twofold. So again, just this idea of like the first two major kills aside from the two white people in the episode having to do with Marissa and Nyjah, kind of cycling back to that. So I thought that was just kind of interesting. But yeah, this was, no, I'm gonna tell you what I loved about this episode was just the Players Club references. Players Club references. That's what I loved about this episode.
Don't be trouble. I wish I would have got that. Like a little trouble.
Oh, Bernie.
Yes, rest in peace. This episode compared to the first one, to me, definitely kind of leaned more into the comedy of the show, and much needed after that, crazy ending of episode 1. But B, was there anything in particular that stood out to you with episode 2, with Halsey being, I guess he couldn't accept me because I was half black, moments like that, or again, the moments where we see again but Dre killing her new friend and her boyfriend.
Yeah, what stood out to me the most was just the confidence she had of dancing so horribly. She was in her own world, man, not giving a crap. And I was just like, what? So that I took it back. Also, I don't know why she killed Halsey or Haley or whatever her name was. I can understand why she killed a boyfriend, but she was on your side. She was like, yeah, F this dude, kick him in the face. Yeah, we're gonna be the new Bonnie and Clyde, and then bam. And I'm still confused. I don't get that. I don't get that at all. But maybe one of y'all can explain it to me. But that's what stood out to me. And I didn't know this was Paris Jackson at first. It took me a while. So
yeah, no, she definitely did her thing in this episode. Who's the Tyra? Did I get your thoughts on the second episode? Was there anything in particular on this episode that stood out to you, from Halsey to the boyfriend being killed?
This is really the first encounter we have of many of a fellow white person, just many people in general, not reading the room. Like, he gives off "don't bother me" so heavily.
Yeah.
Like, she's immediately annoyed. She's nonchalant. She doesn't want to engage, period. But you have someone like, Paris wanting so heavily, like, to attach herself to her. And at first glance, you would think like, oh, this is a match made in heaven. She thinks that everything about Drea is awesome. She thinks she's a cool person. Maybe this will be a placeholder for what Marissa was. Maybe they'll have that. But it's like, oh, you're a Halsey fan? You're a Halsey fan? Like, no, not only do I not want you in my space, but you're a Halsey fan, and you are like, I didn't understand like why she would even, like, that room was filthy. It's just absolutely disgusting how she was living. And I was looking at Paris, I was like, why would you want to come in here and pee? This is not, there was nothing inviting about her, but she just felt like she found a kindred spirit. And just so many times in the show, you have people just not registering or just ignoring her quirks, her mannerisms, her personality, everything about her says, get the hell away from me. Don't talk to me. Now, I died laughing from the interpretive dance, her smacking it. Where's Reggie? Like, that energy that she gave off is just
awful.
Not even that. We get into what a little bit of ass and, sexuality will get you. Nobody in their right mind should want to dance from Drea. Not even that, but between him, not really, like, I don't care what's going on. Like, you smack, you're growling, you're snatching food off my plate, and like, what is not connecting? But he's still like, yeah, come on back. You can still get, like, what are you like? What are you not getting? But you have so many people just interested in maybe her looks, her virtue, just, oh, you're a stripper. Like, they just want to engage with her despite the energy that she puts off. And the moment that I looked at the most here was when we have her at the stripper bachelor college whatever party, and you have that one white guy who
I was gonna say, is no one gonna bring that up? That was gonna be my life.
He comes to pleasure himself, and it is just like, she's so off-putting. Like, I'm not interested in engaging. In fact, I'm gonna go find a room secluded from all of this just to be alone. And fully covered, not engaging at all, not in any way acting like the ladies in the room, though they are strippers. Child, we engaging in a whole lot more than stripping. You still come find me and you sexualize me, and I love the way that he came in. It's just like, you're not like them. Like, I feel like you're different. No, you don't think I'm different. If you didn't, you wouldn't have came in here. Exactly. But even though I am, solo dolo alone, I'm not giving off any type of energy that says I want to engage with you. I'm covered for the most part. You still come find me and amongst all these women to come and sexualize me for, like, give me $1,000. Like, and still in that moment, she still wasn't engaging, and he still, I was like, dude, like, it's hella women in there, but that just goes to show I could still, just be who I am. You're still going to come and find me. All of these people are going out of their way to find her. But I felt like she killed old Paris, and I laughed so hard at the reference to, I'm half. I was like, that's the eighth wonder of the world. Michael Jackson and kids. You still black, Mike. I ain't never put two and two together. But when she killed her, and you feel like, is she going to be upset? She killed her boyfriend. She killed the boyfriend in hopes that this would get Paris out of her hair, like this would get her out of my room. But when she comes, it's just like, yeah, girl, we can be the Black Thelma and Louise. This is what I always wanted. And it's just like, I have one agenda and one goal that I'm trying to do. If it's not about me killing who is, I came here for Reggie. I didn't come here for you. You are, pushing in on my plan. I need you to go away. Not only do I need you to go away, but you're not getting the hint. I'm going to kill you and, ask Suri who Halsey is. Like,
I'm going to push back a little bit, Ty, because I rewatched the episode before we went live today. And there was a moment there where they was kind of laughing. I think she was kind of maybe accepting the idea of having someone to maybe help her out on this hunt of killing all of Naja fans. But I think, like you mentioned earlier, as soon as she said Halsey, she was like, yep. Done deal. You ain't on my level. Elle, your thoughts, any moments that stood out to you? I'll throw it out there. How we wrap up the episode with Tuck, or whatever his name was, Reggie, and how she, again, anger just overwhelms any logic of how she was going to kill this man, hits him over the head with a pot, and obviously he 10 times her size. I thought Dre was going to die in this episode, but shocked the hell out of me when the girls came in and shot him. But any moments stood out to you in this episode?
This episode was really, really fun to me. I was entertained from beginning to end. When I realized that it was Paris Jackson, I laughed because I'm goofy, but I don't know. It just tickled me to see her.
It's super meta too. It's a meta moment. Barry Jackson, Michael Jackson, pop star show. Upset. Yeah.
I didn't see it coming, and I just really enjoyed seeing, what I thought my theory, what I thought having it been confirmed, because, Dre being on the stage giving a liturgical dance, that was Dre. And then whoever that was afterwards that had she had the beat and she had her hair done and she was out there doing, giving a dance, that was the same person that went to the club and had sex with Macaulay Culkin's brother. So, I was like, okay, theory confirmed. But I don't know. This episode also was blackity black to me. I think any of the episodes weren't, you know what I mean? But for some reason, when she went in the kitchen and got something out of there to get him with, I knew it wasn't a knife. Something in my black spirit told me it was a cast iron slate. That thing sent me over the edge when I saw she was, because you could take somebody out.
Hey, talk about Atlanta. We saw our boy Paperboy took out that hog with a doggone.
Exactly. But I thought her killing the boyfriend, I didn't get it at first, but it does make sense. Like this, she got the
got my hair.
But I think she killed Paris because Paris was just talking too much. Like, shut up, girl. Like, you know what I mean? It was like overwhelming her poor little senses, and she was like, what am I gonna do with her? Because I got to kill her now. Because she knows it ain't no coming back from it. I have to take her out now. So that's why Paris had to die. That was hilarious to me. I still don't know who Halsey is. And I probably won't ever know who Halsey is, but I enjoyed this episode. The strippers and the fact that she left them high and dry. Loved it. Loved the whole
you know about Ashley?
No, I love the leaving them high and dry in the situation with the strippers in correlation with a real story that actually occurred in Tennessee of the 4 strippers who killed the Good Samaritan that just, stopped them. And I just like love the whole narrative of what Reggie represents. Hey, I'm maybe, one way online. We all tweet or message, a couple of things, but that doesn't make me a bad person. As soon as he approaches and says, my mama raised me, I was like, you gonna kill Reggie? Y'all gonna kill Reggie who gave you a tune-up? And
I love that twist too, Tyra. When the guy pulls up, you're like, and he says his name, I'm like, oh, that's some good writing.
That was great. But once they, that unassuming thing of us always, we see this big strapping black guy. It just, even though we've had Drea so remember when you said in that one tweet that one time that I was like, oh my God, like really, like, and everybody's like, you know, you need to calm down. Like this man is helping us. But when we get into that narrative of her really, I was like, wow, she a killer. Even though she had already killed several people, the fact that she couldn't contain herself, it's like, I got to get him. I got to go pee. I need to go back and get him. And then, of course, we have the ladies come in and assume that she is being assaulted. And we get, you know, that whole dynamic of, I love when they said, you know, check his pockets. I was like, and we have them like really sit in often, even if she was assaulted and this was in self-defense from, even though my man's was fighting for his life, how often are we as women believe when we are sexually assaulted? I'd rather take my chances running away and not calling the police. Crazy, but I love the whole scene.
Yeah, and I got this photo popped up here, and again, it's another great way to end the episode. This whole like, wait a minute, I thought Marissa was dead, but obviously we know this is texting herself, which is just another level of just insanity from this character. But no, I think collectively we can all say this episode definitely was a tonal shift. Bringing it back to you, because I know you're not a big horror fan. Did you like the change in pace? I mean, it was dark towards the end, but it wasn't as dark as the first one. Did you kind of like that little bit more levity?
Yeah, I was like, big mistake when she shot him though. I was like, that's the last thing you want to do. Y'all are not going to get away from this. They're not going to believe your story. We found out in thinking episode 6 what happened, but that's you know, that the gunshot that stood out to me.
Definitely, man. And before we get into this third episode of Some Moments That Stood Out to Us, we got over 305 people watching. Appreciate y'all tuning in live on our Swarm discussion with this wonderful panel of amazing people. If you guys are enjoying the conversation, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up, share, continue to leave your thoughts in the comments. I'm trying to bring up as many comments as I can. Or if you have any questions for us in the panel, let us know. And more importantly, y'all, you see these wonderful people. All their links are in the description. So check them out. Their YouTube channels, great content creators. So definitely subscribe to them. So getting into this third episode, I want to start with you, Elle, titled Taste. Now, this was another episode. And again, I love how these episodes are so different from the not only the areas we're at. We got different names now. She's going by a different name. We're in a different month of the year. This episode really caught me off guard, especially, I don't know, this whole theme of this junk food. And we meet, it was Byron Bowers, I think his name is. I've seen a couple of his skits online. He's a pretty funny dude.
Yeah.
He killed me in this episode as far as this being hilarious. But we now see her again. She kills another dude who says something online. She asks who's the favorite artist. She kills the dude very early on. And just seeing her finding this white woman who I think the headline was Naja had got, well, I think it was the Beyonce fight in the escalator with Beyonce and her sister and Jay-Z. So there was some controversy going on. Some white woman was saying that Naja's music is causing riots on the streets and whatnot. And now she has her new person in mind. So Elle, what about this episode stood out to you? Was it the biting at the end? Biting Naja's face? What stood out to you in this third episode titled Taste?
First of all, I forgot that somebody bit Beyonce in the face. And when
is that true?
Yeah.
Someone bit Beyonce in the face?
Yeah, it was supposed to be Sanaa Lathan. That's why they tied in the Love and Basketball.
That's why at the end when the two guys were sitting out and they were like, oh, that looks like the girl from Love and Basketball. Yeah. Like, that's why, because it was supposedly Sanaa Lathan bit her in a party.
In the club. Lord.
Back in the day. And I had forgotten about that.
When was this? Was
a couple years ago.
Like a Christmas party or December party.
Hold on. Brandon, are you with me, B? Did you know about this?
No, I didn't know about it until recently. I looked up some stuff too, and I was like, "Wow, Sanaa Lathan."
Why isn't this a movie?
Did Tiffany Haddish have something to do with it?
Tiffany Haddish was the one who broke the news.
Yeah.
So what is going on? My mind is blown right now. You guys are watching this in live action. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Elle. Go ahead.
No. I just loved it. I loved all of the Beyonce references and all of the things that I had forgotten, because I forgot about the fight in the elevator too. You know what I mean? Things just happen so fast and we're just inundated with so much information that you just forget about these huge things, like Solange beating Jay-Z up on the elevator, like, you know what I mean? But I thought this episode was great. This one gave me the heebie-jeebies because the sex with the junk food and like that part, it was giving me don't be a menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood, like a little bit. And that made me uncomfortable. I could watch somebody get their head beat in all day. Don't have sex with no lemon meringue pie. Like that just goes me. I just wasn't ready for that one.
Have you seen? Curious. Have you seen The Well?
The Well?
Yeah.
Nah.
With Brendan Fraser.
Please watch it.
Oh, The Whale.
The Well. Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. I saw it. Yeah, I did.
When people, like you said, like I can watch a lot of horror, but certain things, food, people, that was just on another level. But I'm sorry, go ahead, El.
Yeah, no, but I just I felt not, and I must be dead on the inside. I don't know, something must be wired weird with me because I felt bad for old boy getting locked in the freezer with that 6-tier cake. That's why I felt bad for. I was like, oh man. She done put you in the worst possible situation that you could ever be in, poor thing. So that I felt bad for, but I thought this episode was great, and I just I don't. This is the one where I thought, like, is this real? Like for real? Like, is this a hallucination? Because why would these things just be working out for her like that? Like
to find him on the elevator,
somebody crawls into your window, and you like, yeah, come on, girl, we gonna be together, me and you. We gonna live together. You're not crazy at all. It's fine. I'm gonna let you in, and we're gonna go to work together. That don't make sense to me. Yeah. So this I thought was a hallucination because how? And also the same thing with the group, with the neck, with Billie Eilish and them. And I was like, why would they do that? Why would they take in this strange woman that's living in her car or whatever? Anyway, but I thought this episode was really funny, and I really, what's his name? Byron?
Yeah, Byron
Bowers.
Bowers. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He has a fan in me. He was great in this episode too. But this one was a lot for me to take. With the food and stuff.
Yeah, he has a very dry sense of humor, but I like that with some comedians. Not everyone can pull that off. I think he does a good job at that. B, man, what about this third episode stood out to you with taste? Was it Byron and his food habits? Was it Dre about to kill the girl in the elevator, but then gets the message from Marissa? Was it the ending with Naja getting bit? What stood out to you, B?
Yeah, man. All of it, man. I just wanted some justice. I was kind of like El said, I was getting really frustrated that everything was working out for her. I'm like, this is just not fair. This is a menace to society here. But I like George. But at the same time, I'm like, brother, you are lonely, man. If you're just gonna just accept this stranger just crawling into your window and accept her in.
And then he had a possum for a pet, the skunk.
Yeah. And man, his I understand he used to be obese, and he did the transformation, but that diet he was on, did y'all see his refrigerator?
Yeah,
it was nothing but like alkaline water and all the organic cucumbers. I was just like, wow, that was impressive. I forgot one of the snacks he had too. That was it kind of tickled me, but the food thing, that was gross. And I think I was really at the edge of my seat throughout this episode because I just didn't want her to kill him, and I'm like, okay, you have no reason that she killed anybody was justified. Like, even if, I don't even think Khalil's murder was justified. He could be a jerk and an a-hole, but he didn't deserve that. He may deserve to get his ass whooped, but he didn't deserve to be murdered that way. But she had a reason. I disagree with her reasons, but she had one. She didn't have a reason to murder George, and I was going to be really upset if she did.
As if she needs one.
Right. But it was I wanted him to get out of there alive. I was nervous for him. So,
and hopefully he made it out of that freezer, because I would assume that was the cake for her birthday party. But Professor Real, I want to get your thoughts on this food theme and how they use food, and it's obviously a big theme for Miss Dre. And not only that, but just your general impression on this third episode, and if anything that stood out to you.
Yeah, I like this episode. I love all the there was a lot more Beyonce-esque things in this episode, which I was like, okay, I recognize this. I recognize that. That was really cool. Like a whole bunch of Easter eggs.
Yeah.
I liked him. He was giving me, I'd never seen his work before. So he was reminding me of Lil Rel a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And like his tone and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was glad that all she did was put him in the freezer, because I was like, if there is a second season, I like dark. This is, dark comedy. This is satire.
Yeah.
And if there's a world in which Dre makes it out, it would be cute to see them reconnect again. Because I feel like he's so awkward in himself that he would be like, hey girl, what happened? What happened? And just kind of like not really take it that seriously. So I thought that was kind of amusing how it ended, where he was just looking at the cake like, oh man. And it wasn't really like he was panicked or anything. He just was like, I'm gonna eat this cake.
Yeah.
Like,
We'll make it.
But the food stuff, again, I just keep thinking like, maybe that's the part of the addiction they wanted to show. It's a little bit of a different route than like if there was a drug addiction or alcoholism, because you can be a little bit more playful when it comes to food, and the fact that it's like junk food and such. So I think maybe there's something with that. But man, I loved this episode. I was kind of disappointed that she didn't get old girl in the elevator.
The white girl,
Because
Rachel or something.
Not Candace Owens. What's the blonde girl?
I know you're talking about. Yeah, I can't think of her name right now.
I know exactly what you're
talking about.
And I was like, man, that would be the time to get her right there. But I think also that just kind of shows a little bit of like Dre's mentality, and the plum, and the eating the plum, thinking that she was eating the plum, but instead she was really going up to her and biting her. That was so surreal.
Yeah.
That I really, it really just causing to question a lot of what is happening, because it was real enough that everybody was talking about it.
Yeah.
So that just draws into question a lot of what's happening on the show. How real is her reality? Because she didn't know that that's what she was doing at all. She thought she was that plumb down like Janet Jackson in Poetic Justice.
Sarah, was anything that stood out to you in this third episode? The bite, the food, the craziness. What about the third episode stood out to you?
Everything. I love the way that we started off with, her kid was being elevated. Like, everybody can get it. I'm not just designated to a Reggie or your local Khalid. Like, we are killing that look to be some type of YouTube personality, like this lavish house. And then we are going after, you get to see, I think, the worth of the Republican, the lady's home. Like, she is really going after these people and really dedicated to what she is doing. But I really love the moment that we have, even the episode later in the episode, like, oh, I think that wasn't that Sanaa Lathan, or you have the guy, she's trying to follow the white chick, and the woman is stopping her, and it's like, oh, aren't you Jazz? Because all black women look like, aren't you Jasmine? Don't you do hair and do the crystals and the beads? And it's like, hell no, but I'll be that if you could get me in here.
Right.
But I just love what that scene just really represented, even though we do have this, even though this is a white woman, she was just strictly trying to do her job. You don't have a pass. You shouldn't be going in. But it's just like, is she being racist, or is she, just that feeling of what we have now as to, you have to watch what you're doing out in public settings because your job might be in jeopardy. All it takes is for one person to record you and say that you are being a certain way, truth or not, and I am at risk of, oh, you are a racist, you're an Islam, you're this, and I'm not trying to do that. Go back there, Jasmine. Like, I don't have time for that. But getting into Byron and the eating and the food, I thought it was hilarious. Like, I laughed really hard. But the skunk, I was like, that's a choice. I don't know what I don't know what I'm supposed to take away from that. But just that element of that rescue, that damsel in distress, like all she had to say was, I'm running from, my boy, he's going to find me. Mine is, this being a stranger, she didn't run to your door and say, please let me in. She came through, the window, but we are just, our guards are down. We letting her sleep in the bed. Not only am I gonna, heal your wounds, but I can feed you. And then I was just waiting, is she going to kill him? Because this is what she's prone to do. If this is going to get me that backstage, staff pass in that jacket, he can go. But she doesn't kill him, but she, kills him in a different way. She breaks his commitment to his diet, has him, engulf on all of that junk food. Like, I was like, so are they going to have sex, or is this just what it is? Like, but just, that whole theme of you never know who you are inviting to your doorstep, into your home. Be alarmed, she didn't kill you, but she corrupted you in a completely different way. Yeah, locking him in that freezer with that cake. He's like, oh, like, girl, why you like that? I was hurt for him. But just like everybody else, the whole scene in the club, it just causes you to be like, so is this in her mind? Like, this has to be in her mind. There is no way, even if she could get into the party, you could never. How did you even get close to her to fight her? Like, and then we have that kind of intertwined with Marissa and the whole Plum situation, and it just really made me think about how she idolizes them both, especially when we get into the final episode. She sees them as one and the same, and it also made me think. I'm like, well, did she take Marissa out? Like, just really getting into, even though you love somebody and idolize them and you're obsessed with them, that can turn into you harming them even though you didn't mean to. And she's just kind of clicking like, oh my God, I bit her. You love her. Why would you want to hurt her in that way and bite her? Like, I just didn't know. I'm like, I just have to take it for face value and just assume that all of this is happening. Andrea is the luckiest person in the world. That's just where I'm going to take it. But I love this episode. I thought this was a fun episode.
It was. And to this quick comment too, I think she became such a great liar because, we got a little bit of time from the previous episode, and she even said when she was a kid, she was a liar. So even though she was terrible at lying, I think when she really got into her, psycho killer mode, she definitely perfected it. What was the question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, it just popped in my head.
Yeah.
You know how everybody is thinking that she's Sanaa Lathan. They refer to her as the woman from Love and Basketball, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a little bit of that reality blended in. And then remember she met the dude who was the actor on Grey's Anatomy.
Yes,
that conversation. Yeah.
Black girl magic.
Yeah, like that's another part that kind of like how I'm confused a little bit because we have such attention to not referring to the icon as the person we know she's a stand-in for. Mm-hmm. She's this other personality. What made them decide to go ahead and lead with these other people who are real people and include them in the show like that? In that way. I can't figure that out.
That's a good question. I mean, that's just kind of that Atlanta-ness of the world. I just think of Atlanta with the black Justin Bieber, and we get a Liam Neeson appearance in season 3. It's just, I don't know. I just love this how.
And I wonder
in the realness of everything. Yeah.
I wonder how, because I saw somewhere the picture of all of the black actors and actresses that were at the Oscars, I think, and it was like a ton of them. And Sanaa Lathan was there, Tiffany Haddish was there, Donald Glover was there, Dominique Fishback was there, and I just when you said it, I was like, I wonder if that was awkward. Like, I wonder if they were like, you know what I mean?
Once we get done, I'm going to this deep dive of this Sanaa Lathan Beyonce bite. I literally Googled it while y'all was talking, and there's a short story, a TV program, a UK show about it. Like,
huge. It was a huge deal.
Yeah, I don't know where
this was. Yeah, yes, it was 2018. I don't know. I guess we big comic book fans. That was Infinity War. I was too busy watching Thanos snap people out of existence. Maybe that's why I didn't know about it. That blows my mind. So I definitely will go into a rabbit hole with that.
Your face of shock is like,
I was like, what? Not playing, right? Well, I'll tell you what's not playing. This 4th episode to me, I think might be my favorite episode because, again, Tyra, us being horror fans, and Elle, I know you like horror too. And Real, are you a horror fan? I know you. Okay, so you're a horror fan. Only horror
man got me. The Witch.
Yeah. B, I know you're not a fan of this film because I think it said it freaked you out, but I was getting Midsummer vibes all throughout.
A24 all day.
I love this episode from top to bottom, and we're gonna talk about Dominique Fishback, but I don't want to forget because this person blew me away. Billie Eilish. I think this is her first time acting, if I'm not mistaken. And I thought she was a veteran. I would have known that this was her first time on screen. I thought that her creepiness, Ava, was just I don't know. I got a lot to say about this episode, but I want to start with you, Real. This episode being titled "Running Scared," I believe. What was some moments that stood out to you? This was when we finally get the truth about, she was going by Kayla, which I believe she was taking the names of people. At least I think that she took the name from the person's car she took with Kayla, how she came up with that name or whatever. But what stood out to you about the truth? What scene was something that stood out to you? What was maybe something that didn't work with you in this episode? But Running Scared, like I said, is my favorite. But what say you?
Yeah, I mean, I was just getting, white women and their good intentions. But at the same time, I still kind of wonder, was there something more nefarious at play going on with them that we don't really know the whole story with all of that. So that was really weirding me out, because I was getting, like you said, Midsummer, Florence Pugh type teas going on. That opening sequence, it reminded me of Get Out, but it also reminded me of Psycho yet again. Marion Crane getting stopped by the police officer and him following her, and that police officer following her to the gas station. It was reminding me of that a lot. I love the episode. I'm still scratching my head about the episode. But it was so well done. Yeah. And then just the Coachella of it all. It really reminded me of that episode of Insecure when they go to Coachella and they don't manage to see Beyonce.
Yeah. Yep.
She better do Bugaboo.
She said, don't remember me this way.
Remember me different.
What'd you think about Miss Cricket here? Getting her, luring her, being as you just, she always, something about this show too, the white people gravitating towards Dre. I don't know, she's like a magnet towards white people. But what did you think about Cricket, Real? Luring her in.
I'm the one who lured her in. Yeah, I mean, it was giving me, like I said, it was giving me Get Out with the girlfriend a little bit. Mm-hmm. It was giving me that a lot. But I'm gonna be honest. I'm not trying to bring you no heat. White women love Black women. So it does not surprise me that they were luring her in that way and kind of going to her rescue kind of situation, trying to save her, and she don't want to be saved.
Yeah. B, man, again, I know a lot of Midsummer vibes coming from this episode, man, but besides the creepiness, craziness, these almost kind of Salem witch type of vibes, but what did you think about the performances and Billie Eilish, man? Do you have any thoughts about her performance and going toe-to-toe with the great Dominique Fishback?
Well, let's start there. Billie Eilish. I mean, I've heard the name a number of times, but
she's a mega star.
Yeah, but still, I'm not that familiar with her personally. Mm-hmm. But she still did a great job in this episode. I want to say this was my favorite episode of the whole series by far, because it did give me those Midsummer vibes. That movie was amazing, but it still haunted me. It still freaked the.
Did you watch Midsummer?
Yeah, I saw it.
I'm proud of you, B.
Yeah, I actually went to an early screening for it, and when it was done, I was proud of myself. But when I woke up the next day, I was like, this was the biggest mistake of my life, because it really did haunt me for like literal months. I was uncomfortable. But that's what made this episode so good, because we got 3 episodes of Dre, her crazy ass, but we have a whole team of crazies, white lady crazy energy. Yeah, and the episode is titled Dre Meets Some White Girls, and with it just being so vague like that, I'm just like, okay, who is crazier than who? Who is going to out crazy the crazy? And so I was really drawn in for that, and I knew from jump that this was a some type of cult group or whatever. That don't even make any sense. Like as soon as she showed her doing the flowers, I was like, oh hell no. Dre, get out of there. You better run right now. But I was like, wait a minute, they probably need to chop your ass up. You deserve it. So I was on Dre's team, but I was voting for both people. Like it was switching back and forth which team I was on. If I was team Dre or team white girl. But when and also you're talking about Salem, one of the girls is named Salem. And also Eva when she went in there and started hypnotizing her or whatever, I was like, oh snap, she's trying to get him in the sunken place or whatever. And I was like, it is working. But I was also just saying, you can see this in my favorite episode. I was also trying to figure out, is Dre just ignorant of where she is right now, or does she know what the deal is? But then I was like, maybe she is ignorant because, you know, she came to when she remembered her phone or whatever. But I mean, I don't like, the thing about it is these cults, these sects, these type of groups like this, they are very good at like luring you in. Even if you think you're the smartest person in the world, you know, they're not going to be like, hey, you want to come to my courthouse or whatever. They're not going to do that. You know, you're just going to be there, and then you're going to realize, like, wait a minute, like, where am I at? Because that happened to me once, like back in 2012. You know, this guy, I thought we was going to church. But he was like, no, we're going to Bible study. And I was like, okay, well, I grew up on the Bible. Like, of course I'm, you know, and my second time going, I realized where I was. But because of that, that personal experience, this episode resonated with me even more. You know, making it my favorite out of the show. But the thing that I was just so entertained how it was going to play out. I was like, okay, you know, are they going? Because, you know, cults like this, they trick you and think they're telling you the truth, but it's nothing but lies, manipulation, and deception, and you can't come and go as you please, you know. And so I was like, are they going to be able to allow her to go? And she just kept making up excuses why she wouldn't give her that phone. And I was like, okay, man, what's going to happen? And then all the girls showed up, and I was on Dre's team. But as soon as Dre started getting pleasure out of murdering them, my switch flipped, and I was like, wait a minute, Dre is like, it was too much, you know. She was the queen of the crazies at that. Like, she was really like giggling, like, yeah. I was just like, oh my. I said I had to take a break after the first episode. I had to take a second break after episode 4. I didn't come back until the next day. It was too much, and she beat that girl. Yeah, it was too much. It was too much. But it was good. It was good though. But I needed a break.
Look, me and Ty were like, it just wasn't enough. We need more. An hour. Kill them all, Drake. Kill them all. Elle, talk to me. What did you think about this episode from an acting perspective, narrative perspective? What was your favorite moments? Maybe some moments that didn't work for you. Talk to me.
I love this episode. This episode was the episode where I was talking to the TV, you know, and you know what I mean? Like, girl, don't you go over there. Don't eat that food. You don't know. Did you see them make that food? Like, I was talking, like I was very into it. I was talking to the TV, and I knew that, like, everything that happened after Cricket got rid of the cop, I was like, nah, it's a setup. It's a setup. Absolutely not. Because you can be a good Samaritan, right? That's what we want allies to be. We want allies to be like, nah, let me use my white privilege to make, you know, this person be okay. Right. So after that, why are you inviting her to the house, baby? Why? Like, that's not what you, that's a huge leap from, like, let me be an ally and help you to let me invite you to my house in the woods. In the woods. First of all, we don't do like strange and unknown things in the woods. Like, that's just first and foremost. And then when she got to the house and they were like, here's your room, and they had like 12 beds. I'm like, that's cold. That's a cult. It's a cult. They just waiting on the other people to come. Like, they recruiting the people to come in, and they gonna be your roommates. They're gonna be your bunk buddies. You just the first one there, right? So I was like, absolutely not. And then when I thought Billie Eilish was great. I had never, I don't know if this was her, if it was.
I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah.
But I thought she did a great job. She was very natural. And Billie Eilish, not at all like disparaging anybody's looks, but her eyes are very sleepy. You know what I mean? Like the way her eyes naturally are very, very sleepy. Okay. And they're ice blue, right? And so she looked menacing to me. And the way that she was easily able to hypnotize her and snap and get her to tell her about the red milk. Yeah. That was good to me. And that kind of confirmed my thought about, don't giggle. Are you giggling at me, B?
No, I was laughing at real. I like her reaction to what you said. Okay. I was laughing. I was enjoying her reaction to you.
Oh, okay. But it confirmed what I was thinking about as it relates to her trauma as a child.
Right.
Like she had to have come up in trauma. She had to have come up in trauma, which is probably why she stunted. Whatever happened with that milk and her grandma, you know, that's when you're young. You go by your grandma's house because your mama got to go to work. Or your mama, or you killed your mama. You know,
right. Or you might have killed your grandmother too.
You killed your grandmother, exactly. So whatever happened at that time, that's where she is like mentally at that age, right? She's very childish and she's very immature and doesn't understand boundaries because who would have taught her that? And then she got put into this situation with the Jacksons. And when she came unglued and jumped on that poor lady and stabbed poor girl and stabbed her, and then she left. Nobody ever taught that girl anything. Nobody ever got her any help. Nobody ever, you know, looked into it further and was like, you know what, she really doesn't. She does have a flat affect. She really doesn't understand boundaries. Maybe we should get her help. Nobody ever did. And so hearing that therapy session kind of confirmed my thoughts about her and her trauma. But I just was like, how was it so easy for her to hit? Because counseling, what you mean? Like, are you a therapist? Like, I just met you. And you my counselor now? I'm not. And then she had on like a uniform. Like they had got her. They got her quick. And I was like, wait a minute. They put her in some like scrubs and stuff. And I was like,
she's now a patient.
Fully in this cult at this point. So, you know, that to me was very interesting. But you know, they lured her in with the tickets. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna give you a wristband. My partner got a connects. Yep. So that's how they lure you in, right? Like, you know, Scientology will lure you in with 3 squares and a job and a place to stay.
Or tickets to the next Tom Cruise film.
Exactly. You know what I mean? They throw stuff at you, and that's exactly what they did to her. And it is easy to get swept up. You know, millions of people do it all the time. But when she walked into that room and they had 12 empty beds in there, I was like, girl, turn around. Like, turn around and leave immediately. I thought this episode was excellent.
It was. Tyra, I gotta get your thoughts. And especially going to Elle's point, I think it was working. We noticed that her phone, I got this photo here. She hasn't talked to Marissa, aka herself, in a while because I think Eva was getting to her. She's getting in her head. Getting in her head.
Stop. I love this episode. Like, I feel like this episode encapsulated like numerous horror movies that we've loved that have come out over the years, from Get Out, you know, The Witch, Midsommar. Like it was just so many levels. But you know, I have watched enough horror movies and I was like, oh, this is, as soon as she picked up, I was like, oh, this is cult. They didn't even go in the house, you know, the whole woman empowerment and we are here to liberate, enrich, you know, rid you. I was like, yeah, this is a whole cult. But it just really tripped me out how quickly, even though Drea is a whole murderer, I was willing to cape for her. Like, girl, no, get out of there.
That's the brilliance of this episode and the show is like the pendulum of
just throwing away everything that she has done up until this point, because it's like, no, it's a house full of white women. No, and we're just getting into Seth white women always wanting to cape and save and, you know, be a savior. We know best. We know what's right. They really thought they had one. Like, you picked up the wrong one. They saw, oh, she's an outsider. She's visiting. She probably doesn't have any family here. She doesn't have anywhere to go. She clearly doesn't have any money. She's trying to sleep in her car. This one in the bag. Like, all we have to do is, you know, get her in, lure her in with the prospect. And what does she like? She loves, you know, Naja. Cool. We got passes. We got this. And, you know, she's just going to follow along with everybody else. But the whole, like, first of all, it scared the shit out of me because I fell asleep when she was going name. I fell asleep and I woke up. I was like, did she snap me into submission? Like, I didn't. I didn't know what happened, Elliot. I swear I was watching. It was on and I was here. And then when she was hitting this and we were getting Get Out and the acting, them, you know, conversing, her really low-key trying to break those walls down, because it's like, you know, I know you're lying about your name. I know you're not telling us the full truth about who you are. I'm gonna, you know, counsel you and hypnotize you to really not even just get into your head, but get information to use against you later, so you have a reason to be a part of this cult. Like that was the whole reason for them. I felt like them cleaning out that car. Like we know that something sinister is lying underneath. We know things about you. Remember when you told me you've hurt people, and it was name? I was like, oh my gosh, like. It was so much. And Billie Eilish, like I was very surprised, not just with her, but with every single person we have here to be a guest star. They aren't just a guest star or just a name to attach to the film. They actually have presence, lines. The acting is good. I just love the whole thing. But I was just really caping. I was just mad because I'm like, we should not be rooting for her to get out of there. But the way that they were so eager to take her in, like we know what's best. We have something to offer you. Like, why aren't you taking the bait? Get away from your phone. And it worked like for 2 seconds. That whole campfire thing, it looked like the witch. I thought they was about to elevate Elliot. I thought
you have the goat come out. What was the goat's name in the witch? I can't remember. Right at one time, but yeah.
Once she realizes like something's calling my name, like I hear something. Apparently they were a little too close to the Coachella. And it's just like, I remember what I'm here for. I need my phone. I don't care what you're talking about. Like she was not trying to receive any of it, and just attaching, really trying to tap into her trauma from her childhood. I personally felt like her grandmother walked in on her killing or doing something to her mother, and that the spilled milk of the red milk was of course blood. And she has been dealing with trauma and been troubled from a very early age. Like there's so many layers. I'm like, is this the only season we're going to get? Right. But, just when I cheered when she ran them over, like I loved it because like when she backed up, I thought it was hilarious because like y'all really thought y'all had one. You picked up the wrong one. When I say I want to leave, she acts polite, like just give me my phone. I'm trying to get like just the passion, because we see like every single year that moves forward, or every other year, she is trying to get to, I need those tickets. I'm trying to see her. I need to go to a show, and she just keeps missing it like by this much. But they just really didn't know who they were dealing with, and I love the fact that she ran them over and killed a couple of people on her way out. I was here for it.
Listen, I mean, go ahead, B.
The scene where they was in the sauna or whatever, like, is that normal? I mean, are y'all women are y'all that comfortable around each other? Or does it just depend on how well you know the other women?
That's sister wife stuff, B.
You mean clothing optional?
Yeah, when they was in the steam room or whatever, that was a
that's not, and that is something that's very popular.
Most of us, we be wrapped up. You might go to the spa, the sauna, but you're gonna be covered up.
Okay.
And like going out into those kind of like tents, in like a yurt kind of situation, and they do like not ashwagandha. What's the name of those mushrooms? It's they do. I can't remember
the ones they did in Best Man, the Best Man series.
Yeah, those. Yeah, they do those in that yurt, and sometimes they are nude, but that's not. We're not gonna do that.
Okay.
My question is where did that bump come from on her head?
Man,
did she knock herself out? Did Ava knock her out? Like,
they knocked us out.
What's going on with the bump?
I don't even know.
It's one of those situations where you're glad that she killed him, because for them to have cleaned her car, realized they couldn't have thought that blood was menstruation. They had the way that blood was in that car. They knew they had to know this girl was on.
Well, Ava brings it up. She's like, who's the person you hurt? Yeah.
They still wanted her. So that lets you know how deviant were they, that they knew that about her, and they still wanted her. So they had to go.
Yeah. That is right. I mean, we can like we did the first episode, we can probably spend an hour dissecting it scene by scene. But I think generally speaking, I think I speak for myself on the panel, for maybe everyone in the chat, that acting wise, the acting was phenomenal in this show. But I mean, like y'all said, I was just so surprised by Billie, and then Dominique, someone mentioned earlier, the one tear that she had in the episode, how she was able to pull that off, and then the moment here where she kills them all. This was fantastic. This was from top to bottom, the eeriness of it all. The, like B said, I know B wasn't the biggest fan of like rooting for her, but I think, it was just that, you're rooting for her towards the end, but then you're realizing that she's a killer getting away with all this. It was just great writing, great directing, great acting, and just a fantastic episode. And again, this was a pivotal episode too, with everything that we learned with the truth and her finding everything out. And again, I can't speak highly enough on Dominique Fishback, but also again, Billie Eilish. Hey, you want to do more? I know you're a pop star, singer, worldwide renowned artist, but if you want to get back on the screen, I will be welcome to it. If I see Billie Eilish on a title card or something, okay, I know she's gonna bring her A game. So shout out to Billie Eilish too. Yep. Shout out to her. But that brings us to episode 5, which I believe was titled Girl Bye, which she, and listen, man, I'm telling y'all right now, this is my second favorite because my man Leon came through. Listen, talk about childhood.
Otis.
My grandmother used to have, rest in peace to her, she used to have that Temptation movie on. It was a VH1 movie, if I'm not mistaken. It was on VH1 for so long. She used to have I'm David Ruffin. Listen, man, Leon is my guy. When he popped up in this episode, Tyra, I was losing my mind. That was my favorite cameo because I'm a big Leon fan. He just goes by Leon now, y'all. Tyra, what did you think about Girl Bye when we find out that she was adopted by the Jackson family? She also has that another cry scene, which was phenomenal when she's talking to the girl that she met in episode 1, who now has a baby. Erica. And she's just lying her. Ooh, and
Elliot, if we wouldn't have known what happened, we wouldn't have known she was lying. Like, the fact that she could switch up and she's changed so much from, walking in with her raccoon eyes to being able to pull the wool over her eyes and just really be convincing. And, I met her and the mom and she came out and hugged me and I'm doing her make. I was like,
Tyra, that's the scene you play when you're getting the award for the Emmys. That's the scene you play.
Right. It was incredible. I was so moved. I just love the close-ups on her face. I just love Dominique's just natural face, like all of her acne showing, her bumps, her scars. I love that in general. But just how convincing she was in that mall and how we just hit her in the heart that phone was disconnected and we hear Harry Jackson. And I set up, I'm like, ooh, who's that? Who is that? There's, another layer here, but we knew whoever it was a problem because, don't call him. I don't want nothing to do with that. And when she ventures to go to the home, it's just like, how we connecting the dots of where they was living to the, this house that they, that we are at this point, I'm just assuming Marissa grew up in. I was like, there's such a disconnect. This is a little, lavish. They got a little coin. What is really happening? But when she goes and she is really familiar with the dog and she folds that picture back, and I was like, what? What? I didn't, really expect that at all. And then, Elliot, when I tell you I freaking lost my mind when how you could just imagine how she was treated as a child. If, as it's one thing for her, we need you to be thrown out of the funeral. We don't want you here. But just to they was ready to take her out. Leon was going to just take her out. Like, he had every intention of killing her. It was literally like, girl, bye. Like, I'm going to kill you. Leon was acting his butt off. I already knew when I saw the silhouette when he stepped in. I was like, is that Leon?
Listen, man, you talk about black don't crack too. My man looked like he just came out of the 80s.
But just to the distance that this family have went just to separate her, like, it wasn't enough just to let her go back, not want to foster her anymore, and just, cut her out of the picture, just want to disconnect her from them in general. Like, they just didn't care for her. And I'm like, that's not just gonna happen in that moment. Even with the birthday party incident, of course, we learned later on why he has such a strong disdain for her. But just how compliant the wife was, you could tell, like, even if she did feel some type of way, especially when we meet the real life, it was our Goofy movie episode. It was you could just imagine how he was able to maybe treat her or go about things, and the wife not really say a word or not really step in, not feeling like it was her place, but just the hatred and like, you did this, you're to blame for this. And then that's when I was like, she couldn't have killed her, because Drea isn't the smartest person in the world. Like, it's one thing to knock somebody out, but there would be, maybe some evidence. Marissa is the one person that we've seen the aftermath, the funeral, what's really, happened. We don't know what happened with Khalid's body, or how she really went about that. Did she just like, where did that go? But just how eager he was to kill her, and we went from her just, follow the line through the house, and really getting back into that childlike innocence of, I'm just here, can you just please turn the phone back on? And he's like, you came all the way back here because you were lonely. Like, the hatred coming up off of that man, and just the whole meaning or the reasoning behind adopting her. Like, we fell on rough times, right? Our son passed away, like, she was never wanted. I was like, oh my God. It just put so many different things into perspective, Elliot. And I was once again feeling like I want her to escape. But like, why do we want her to escape? Because she's just going to go kill some more people. But I just loved it. I felt like this was a really good episode. Like, I think this is where Dominique Fishback's acting pushed through the most. Just the reactions that she was having to her memorial in the attic or the bedroom, punching herself in the stomach, like, just, it was a lot, Elliot. Like, I could go on forever. I'm gonna let somebody else go, but Leon showed up, and Leon was outside, and it was on fleek.
David Ruffin. I'm the leader of this group. Brandon, man, talk to me about this 5th episode, man. The acting, this lie. I mean, Brandon, I know you. Again, I know you've been praising Dominique the whole time, but your character, it was hard for you to root for. But I need to know, what you feeling for her on this table, man? This lies that she was telling. Did you believe her? I mean, obviously we know there's a bunch of lie, but I mean, it's just
this is some of the best acting I've seen. And not only that, from her performance, it was just the way that it was captured, because it focused in on her mouth, just zooming in real slow. But then it zoomed, and it didn't have the tears at first when it was zoomed in on the mouth. Then when it zoomed out, that's when I think the first tear dropped, or you can see it. And I was just like, damn, that's amazing right there. So that was incredible. She deserves everything for that right there. But this episode right here scared me the most. I was the most anxious, because the one where she was in the cell phone store, I was like, please do not kill Kenny. Do not kill Kenny. I like Kenny, he's just trying to do his job.
Ricky Thompson, right? He's a funny guy. He's a funny guy.
I'm like, are you gonna kill this man? Like, are you gonna kill this man like in broad daylight in the store, like in front of everybody potentially? Like, no. And I was like, I just do not want her to get away with this, because I was like, no, we need to get her. I don't want her to get away. I'm like, I want this menace to die. That's how passionate I was. And then I got so scared. I was like, what scares me about her character is there's no ends to what she would do to get what she wants. And she's so careless with it. I mean, the way she sneaks into the house, like I think Elle said, how she was comfortable with the dog, or I forgot who said that, but I was like, what's going on? Where are we right now? But I was just so afraid that she was going to kill the parents. I'm like, damn, this is just too much. If you kill the parents, like, you're just taking it too far. That's just a line you don't cross. But just speaking of Leon, he was amazing. And I was with him, man. He was at wit's end. Like, I don't care. I'm in Texas. I will blow your ass away. Have a beer and won't think nothing of it. Period. I kind of rolled my eyes when she just picked up the magazine or whatever and just ran. I'm like,
it was a rolling pin.
I'm like, man, how you not hit her, man? Like, just blow her ass away. But she got out the car. I mean, she got out the window and he kept shooting or whatever. I just wanted him to hit her so bad. But I'm like, she won't be back. And also, just the mother didn't. They just didn't. They didn't care who died or lived. Like, look, I'm gonna die. You gonna die. We're just tired. Somebody's gonna die. We don't care. The mother was just like, F it. Like, I really feel like she was just like, you would just cause us so much pain. You can't do anything else.
Man, how was she as a kid, B?
Huh?
I just want to know how was she as a kid, because the way that the mom was unflinched when she pulled that gun, like, oh, it's you again here acting the way you always act. Go talk to my husband. I was like,
right. That is crazy. And because at first I was kind of feeling sorry for her when she got kicked out the funeral, but now I'm just like, no. You know, this is crazy. I mean, you already have to have a big heart to. I mean, yeah, they needed money, but they still took her in. But it takes a lot to do that. I don't know if I can do that. You know, and for them to do that, but then want to give we're done with you. I don't know. Maybe we do need a prequel series or something. But yeah, that's how I felt.
Yeah.
Real talk to us. What'd you think about the performances, Mr. Leon, the dynamic between those two? The moment here where she's this reminded me of like I can't even remember, but her feeding the manager the smoothie or whatever. What was the moment that stood out to you?
Yeah, I mean, I love Leon. He's definitely Black royalty, right? Like,
Yes,
so
yes.
that was a wonderful surprise seeing him on the screen because I was not expecting that. I thought this episode was great. Her acting, when she went into the bedroom, that really was, I think, the moment for me that really got me when she's looking at like the memorial or like the wall, that scene right there. Is so haunting. You know, you can really just see all of her regrets, all of her guilt, all of her anguish on her face. I just thought that was very impactful. I'm still kind of stuck on, you know, first of all, Liam, like, we got to stand your ground too, okay? Like we might, it works for us too. He was going to get her. But we really don't know what happened to her once they sent her away. And we know that for whatever really kind of happened, they blame her for the distance between them and Marissa.
Right.
So the only assumption that I can kind of make is that Marissa must have at some point in time said, y'all gonna get rid of my sister and I'm gonna bounce too, and kind of severed ties, except for when maybe she went back to her mom and was like, Mama, don't tell daddy I need some money. But we don't know what really happened to her once she was sent away. And that's a hard thing because, you know, that's their child. That kind of makes me still think, aside from the damage that was done to the other little girl, and I don't know that alone would be the thing. I mean, it could be the thing, but if their daughter was so close to her, that was her sister, and she kind of just snapped, that couldn't have been the only thing, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So that's what makes me wonder if something happened to Marissa in that moment as well, or somewhere along the way where that's where they're blaming her for everything that happened. But just it was a very well acted episode. I loved it. 10 out of 10. I liked Ricky at the beginning. That was a nice little surprise.
Yeah.
Little levity
He's
at the
hilarious.
beginning of the episode.
Like, no, he's the only one that was like, he's the only character in this whole show that realized how crazy she was. You can get your ass out of here. I do not like your vibe, your energy. So shout out to Ricky Thompson for realizing the negative energy.
Yeah.
Elle, talk to us.
I thought this episode answered a lot of questions for me, but then it gave me more questions too, right? Because when she pulled up to the house, I was like, what the hell these people done did now, right? But then when I saw that she was so familiar with how to get into the garage, and then she knew, you know, that it was her home, right? That it was where she used to live, and that, you know, whoever lived there got a little coin on them. So why were they living in a trap? You know what I mean? Like, why was Marissa in, you know what I mean, in that apartment with her? You know what I mean? When that is when her parents come from a little bit of coin, right? So I was like, question, I don't know what's up with that. But then when I saw the picture folded over, that made me sad. It really, really did. Because the emotional toll that I would assume getting fostered and then completely cut out of a family would take on a person with no mental health issues would be quite large, right? So that probably was like almost insurmountable for her. And you're right, we don't know what happened to her after she was sent away. And when was she sent away? Like, how old were they when this happened. I don't know if they mentioned it or not, but the mother, I thought at first it was her reaction was like, here she go. You know what I mean?
Pretty much.
Like,
she was unbothered.
Coming back. But then I was like, this lady has lost all of her children.
Right.
Exactly.
She has no children. And
have I not given you everything?
She
she,
you know what I mean? And when we see that she lost a child at 6 days old, and then she lost a child not too long ago, she's like, girl, you gonna kill me or what, baby? Because if you're not, then let me get back to my show. You know what I mean? But you know, and then the dad, I could only imagine that household being unhappy. I don't know why. I just feel like it was just unhappy. Because Leon came downstairs with a lot of anger and a lot of like rage associated with him. But I'm like, well, yeah, you know, she stabbed a little white girl. You know, that's not good. You know, you're not supposed to do that. But you put her in some therapy, you get her some meds, and you work it out, right? And even if it was supposed to be for a check, which is also cold-blooded, right? You getting a human being so that you can go and get some money, that's low down to the ground. So, you know, even if you are on hard times, you need to go DoorDash, baby. You need to go donate plasma or something, right? You don't just go get a child with money anyway. But yeah, I don't know why she went to that house like that, because, you know,
what did you think?
She got the H-Town on her shirt. She already know everybody in Texas got a gun. That's why it was so easy to put her hand on one in the house. Like, everybody in Houston has a gun. So when Leon came downstairs with a blucker, I'm not sure how he missed her, because that gun was huge. And that's what B was saying. She blocked herself with a rolling pin. I was like, this is what they have. That's what I was like. I don't know if this
child. She's a child. Oh, that is a whole kid.
I don't know. But, you know, I thought the performances in this were great. And when Dominique Fishback was telling that long lie to Erica in the mall,
monologue was just,
and she was so elated from here on down, right? Like, her face, she was so happy, but her eyes and her mannerisms were so sad. And I for a person to display joy and pain like a Frankie Beverly song
within literally seconds of each other. Not a scene, with seconds of each other.
I'm telling you, I was just so impressed with that scene, because it looked like she really thought that in her in her mind.
Oh,
like,
she was telling the truth.
She was telling the truth.
All truth.
Yeah, and I was so impressed. And even Erica was like, girl, I'm gonna let you have it. I know she was like, I know that you're lying to me, because ain't no way this girl with all these bad habits could go and be the makeup artist to the stars when you got crust in your eyes.
I like that.
She had no makeup on anyway, but episode was great. I'm sorry that I ran on so long.
You got quick question. Did they establish, like, okay, help me out with this. The I don't know if I'm jumping ahead too far, if it's in episode 6 or episode 5 about the attic. Mm-hmm. Is that episode 5 or 6?
In the attic? What you mean?
Yeah, with this, because she mentioned the stabbing of the white girl.
Mm-hmm. That's the next episode when the police officer.
I'll wait for my question there. My fault.
Okay. We'll put it in that. But yeah, no, I think everyone said it on the panel. Yeah, the performances was great, and just like the previous episode, man, I really did feel for. I was say what you will, I felt for Dre at that moment, man, especially because it's her performance. And it's a little bit too, because I love Dominique. I think that's what it is, B. I'm a big Dominique fan, man. It's just like, I feel bad for her, B.
Yeah, I can't wait till we wrap up, because you said something in one of your other videos that I questioned. I was like, oh my goodness,
if she's evil or not.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. But no, I think again they hit us with a back-to-back. For episode 4 and 5 of just amazing performances across the board, especially from Dominique. But again, shout out to my man Leon. But I'm not gonna lie, this brings us to episode 6, which was as Tyra alluded to it, for shout out to Atlanta, the 4th season. The group that sat next to the door, the episode that threw everyone off, the thinking that Thomas Washington was the first Black CEO of Disney. I'm not gonna lie, guys. It took me out a little bit, because it was such a tonal shift from all the previous 4 or 5 episodes. But on a rewatch, I really came to appreciate, especially all the stuff that they gave. They answered pretty much all the questions we had. But it did throw me off initially. But I want to toss it to you first, Tyra. What did you feel about this, the 6th episode from a performance standpoint, the information we got, and everything in between?
I love the Black detective just all devoted. Like, I'm gonna solve this case. Right. I love that. It, like you said, it did throw me off. I was like, because I had to readjust. Because as soon as it started, I was like, oh man, what is y'all slowing down the pace? Like, I need some answers. I want to know more. Like, is she okay? Did he shoot her? Like, right. I want to know if Leah, because I felt like Leah would have followed her to the parking lot. But I like the episode for just the narrative of what she had to say about people just not caring, not really just investing in a lot of these murders or just really looking into somebody like Drea's direction. Mm-hmm. When we got to see the real people, and I was like, I got to Googling again. I was like, let me check.
Oh, trust me, I was
to make sure that Drea Green and Marissa Jackson are real people, because here they go again playing with my emotions. I felt like they were trying to get the word out on the hotline. Like, if you've seen this person,
you're right. Call this number if you see.
But it wasn't. But that's just how good it was. But I loved her just really paying attention to detail. And of course, there's comedy. Like, I saw this bonnet and it was hot chips. It was a sister. Like, I loved all of that. But just really getting into Drea's backstory and the way that they took her in. And just how she was always, troubled. And of course, when you take somebody in, whether it's for a check or not, nobody ever assumes like, oh, I'm going to get the kid that's going to maybe be a little harder than the next. This isn't going to be easy. She needs a little bit more help than we were willing to initially give. Right. But just really finding out, where she is coming from, the system. I love the conversation that they had when she went, like, I told you not to talk. Like, I was rolling. It was a whole lot of laughter going on, but just how devoted she was. It was like, nobody else cares. Just because Drea or whomever this may be, I laughed at the sketch. Like, it was funny. The sketch from the club, but like, she's absolutely not on anybody's radar just because she is a Black woman. She could. There are so many. Nobody's willing to take the time to connect the dots just because of not only who's being murdered, but who. You mean to tell me that this person is doing it? But once they, incorporated the pictures, and she went to have the conversation with the mother, and we find out, Harris has passed at this point. There's just been so much loss, and she feels like she failed and she didn't do all that she could do. And we find out, not only the sleepover situation that was just, I guess, the end all to be all, but just Harris feeling like they had an inappropriate, relationship, and they may have been a little too close. And he just really didn't like that. He just felt like, oh, this is a problem. I need to separate the two. I just wanted to know more, like, when exactly did Marissa leave? I felt like it was a situation of, if you're going to keep, attaching yourself to her, we've put her out, you're going to keep, giving her money or whatever, we have to disown you. We're not going to supplement her. We want nothing to do with her. And she just couldn't let her go because they were so connected. But just to know all the trauma that she came from, whether it was her real life in the red milk or being in, certain custody, we just don't know what happened to her. We just really get to see that Marissa was the only person who ever really just truly gave a damn about her and bothered to understand her. So you could really get into why she would attach herself to her in that way. But the episode was, it was really good. It was different, but it was still good, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a perfect episode to show what America's #1 program genre right now, which is true crime. Yes. I haven't gotten bit by that bug. My mom used to watch it when I was a lot younger, so maybe I'm just like, I have seen my fair share of true crime and TLC and all that stuff. So I was just, whatever case may be. But I really think they played into that very, very well. I mean, hell, in the last year or so, the Jeffrey Dahmer Netflix special. I'm a U fan. That's my kind of pleasure show
Ellie,
with
Mr.
Joe Goldberg. Yeah, listen, B, if you ever get a chance to watch if you think Dominique Fishback Dre gets on your nerve, how much she gets away with, go watch you and watch my man Joe swerve and curve everyone and try to get him caught. But I thought this episode did a great job of displaying again the sensation of true crime, and again for Atlanta fans. I mentioned it in my review when we covered Atlanta. I need more of like, if they can continue the band episodes and have it be these one-off crazy true life situations, I would be here for it. I thought this was a great episode to display that. But Brandon, man, the truth is out now. We get all the information we've been looking for, man. With what's her name, Loretta Green. Was she related to Andrea at one point, or in her family history? But what'd you think about this episode, B?
Man, I almost forgot about that part. I was like, oh God, I hope they're not related. That would just be crazy. But I love Loretta Green as well. I love the energy and passion of it, how she
that would be a great show if they did that.
Dre and Joe. Yeah. And just how driven she was to try to solve this case. And I really liked the way all the information was coming together. All of the questions were being answered and all the dots were being connected. But overall, though, I'm still conflicted because I thought the concept, the idea of this episode was incredible and I loved it. But starting kind of even in the middle and towards the end of the episode, I thought the execution was horrible. Was trash. This was my least favorite episode just because I thought the acting went down the toilet bowl and that really clocked me out. The reason why I say that, I mean, the acting was great from every cast member in every episode except for this one, especially when they went to the foster office and they was talking to Patricia, and then the camera guy wanted to butt in as well. I mean, like, it was silly and goofy, but it was like, it just didn't seem realistic to me at all. I mean, just the whole vibe was completely different from the rest of the show, and I don't know why they had to change it up that way. Now, like you guys, I was still like, damn, did this really happen? Like, I'm Googling stuff and like, and I'm not, this whole time I really want Dre to go down. So I'm like, I really need to save the number and I'm try to get this woman locked up.
Hey,
like
set up top. She's not too far from where our wonderful Brandon stays. So yeah.
So I was really and then the way he shot the thing at the end where Donald Glover was on the red carpet.
Yes.
Like, yeah, we're working on this, and they showed the Variety article. Yep. I was like, ain't this some shit?
Super meta.
And then I found out that I was bamboozled, and I was like, dude, you got to stop. Like, you're really making my heart beat fast. You know what I'm saying? But it was I just thought that the acting kind of went down the crapper, and I was also confused too because I was like, wait a minute, like, did they change cast members? That ain't Leon. That ain't the same woman. Like, what is going on? It just took me, and I only saw it once. It kind of just, I was confused and didn't know it was. I thought it was real, then it wasn't real, and then the acting. So, what I really did like though is the white girl explaining her side of the story, her getting stabbed, and then I do have the question about the attic, like. Was Harris, did he lock her in the basement like for the whole duration, or just for that party, or just for the party, the sleepover?
I feel like he locked her in that basement multiple times.
Yeah, I was about to say, I feel like she was comfortable in that basement. Not comfortable, but I feel like she was familiar with it. Like, that was something that he did often to just kind of have her out of sight, out of mind, and not have her jumping on nobody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, those are my thoughts. Yeah, I just, I don't know. I don't know. It was good. It's just,
oh gosh,
kind of clocked me out.
B, I love when you don't like something. Like, yeah.
Sorry.
Nah, man, hey, I appreciate it, man. The truth. We need the truth. And it was, B, I just gotta know, man. Was this you during the episode, man?
Yeah,
this was me. This was me. This was my face.
Yeah,
this was me watching this episode.
Times two. Big time. Yeah.
Real. What did you think about falling through the cracks? Because I to go back to B's point, like I said, when I first watched it, I was kind of thrown off by it a lot. It took me a second rewatch to really kind of appreciate it, but it was tonally just so different. And not necessarily the acting was bad, but it was heightened more. It was just, we just came off of back-to-back traumatic, dark, sinister episodes, kind of more, a little bit more levity, I guess, that threw me off. But Real, what did you think about this episode, and what were some things that stood out to you?
I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. I thought it was super meta. I enjoyed the Who Sat by the Door episode of Atlanta.
Arguably the best episode of that. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
I'm a big Abbott Elementary fan. And I know Donald is, he and Quinta have done interviews together where they've talked about like how much they appreciate each other's work. So a lot of what I saw in the mockumentary of this episode, I really appreciated the meta-ness of it and how it kind of gave the show a way to break the fourth wall in a way that the show couldn't do because it was more of a dramatic rendering. It took me a second. Like I said, I think like everybody, like I said, I was first watching, I was like, okay, this detective, okay, Dre done got on somebody's radar, what's going on? And then when they started showing the pictures, I was like, oh, okay, this is them trying to make it seem like this is real. Because so many of the situations were based on real situations, but then kind of like Tyra said, I went online, I was like, is Marissa real? Is this okay? No, that's not real. This is them trying to make it seem as though it's real. This is the true essence of satire, conflating the situation to make it seem like it's real so that people start to question the actions of this character and make them think about it. So I was like, okay, once I clicked in on that, I was like, I like this episode. I could have done I thought it was quirky, cute, funny, a little bit of breaking levity with like the cameraman and everything like that. But I liked all of the answers that we got. But at the same time, I still feel like that makes me want to know even more, because when we saw the pictures, and what really got me was the woman playing the real version of Mrs. Jackson. She's looking at the photos and she's going through the photos. You could kind of sense a real sense of regret about what happened with Dre, like her feeling like they failed Dre.
Right. It was like a bit of remorse for sure.
It was more like her listening to her husband. So I was like, man, I really hope if we get a second season, we get a little bit more about what happened in that home and what happened when she left that home, because Ma's feeling real regret, and I don't think you would feel that if you really blamed that child. She would have realized that there was something in her, that this was a child going through this. So that was really powerful, I think. But I enjoyed the episode. Like I said, it felt really meta. It felt very Abbott, very Goofy Sat by the Door, and I liked that part of it. So I did miss seeing Dominique on screen though.
Right, that was another reason that threw me off.
She was just killing it all cylinders.
Oh, don't put that little girl in my face, Elliot.
Yeah, and this, so to me, and Elle, before we get your thoughts, Elle, the reason I really appreciate the second go round for me was it really kind of hit on the nail as far as like the whole hook of the show was touching on toxic fandom, obviously the Beyonce of it all. But then this episode to me proved that was just the hook. The meat and the potatoes and the foundation of the show was, and again, we'll talk about later as far as sympathizing with this character or not. Regardless of, it doesn't erase her sins of what we've seen her do in the previous 6 episodes, but it really does hit on this notion of like lack of empathy, lack of love, and what it can manifest into, what we see with Dre. So I think that this episode really kind of hit that nail on the head of this character study, more so about the toxicity of like fandom or what have you. But Elle, what did you think about this episode? What stood out to you?
I remember distinctly folding clothes, watching the episode, and like, when you kind of doing something and you're watching and you're paying attention, but not as much as if you just not doing anything at all. And I remember looking up being like, who the hell is that lady? Like I was watching it the entire time. But then I was like, wait a damn minute, that's not Mrs. Jackson. And so I had to start it again. But then on the second go round, that's when I realized I don't trust Donald Glover. I just don't. Because it made me remember Teddy Perkins and how like the very first thing that popped up in my mind was the picture of Teddy Perkins at the award show and everybody thinking that Donald Glover was Teddy Perkins, but then there was a picture of Donald Glover with Teddy Perkins. I can't trust him. I don't trust him. I don't know what he's gonna do. So in this episode, I was like, okay, he on his shit again. Okay, so let me go ahead and pay attention. But I thought the episode was, I thought it was good. It's like it like jolted me. There you go. Like what? Excuse me. I thought that was him the whole time. And then Issa Rae behind them looking her face was what I was thinking the entire time. And so I think it's like it was like a jolt for me, right? Because we were getting used to somebody say something crazy about Naja, Dre gonna go ahead and take him out. Somebody doing something, she gonna have sex with somebody. Somebody gonna do something, she gonna eat some Doritos. Like it's, you know, it was like over and over again with the same thing. So it was like wake up, like this is what we have been here to kind of discuss the whole time. It looked different than all of the other episodes.
Brandon, did you call the number, Brandon?
Huh?
No,
did anybody call the number?
Anyone called the number?
Yeah, like, you know what I mean? And I just felt like it was something that's like true to what they do, what Donald Glover does and what he and his brother do. Like, you think that you know what's going on, and then all of a sudden you are completely clueless as to what's going on. I thought it was cool. I really like Loretta Green. She was giving me, you know, a black woman gonna get to the bottom of it. I don't give it, like, it's just like it reminded me of the Whitney Houston lyrics to It's Not Right But It's Okay, when she did the math on the receipt. It's like, this is not adding up. Like, y'all not seeing the patterns. And so I really like that part. And I liked just being a social worker, seeing that social worker in the
check everybody.
Get it together. Like, don't, you know what I mean? Like, we're gonna gather you up about our clients. But you know, I thought it was cool, and it did give you answers, and it did, you know, kind of put some things together. There she go. That's my girl there. But you know, this was not one of my favorite episodes, but I think it was an episode that was absolutely needed. Like, we needed this episode, and I think it's cool because, again, it was a joke. Like, we needed something different to shake us up. Because we've been traumatized for 6 solid episodes at this point. So like, give us a little something different. So it was good for what it was. And it was needed, like I said, but it wasn't, you know, my top one in the series.
Yeah, I think I stand with you what it said. It wasn't my favorite, but I did appreciate all the information they gave, especially, I mean, they gave us the ending in this episode too, with what really happened. You know, we'll get to it with this finale, but what really happened to Dre was she got arrested when she jumped, or Tony, when they got on the stage. But any final thoughts? Anyone else want to mention anything about this 6th episode before we wrap up with the finale?
It was a smart way to introduce Tony. Because I think that if they had just gone from episode 5 to episode 7,
good point.
How to see
Dominic
as Tony, Dre as Tony. I think that would have been like, we wouldn't have been ready, and that kind of gave us a chance to get ready for it, because that was such a shock and that was like the biggest personality change out of all of them.
Very much
I think I was the opposite. I would have preferred to see her transition into Tony and, you know, how we got there versus us just jumping. Because even with her saying, oh, I believe that, you know, she's in Atlanta, and of course she's probably changed her name, nothing about it equated to her changing into Manny Fresh. I want to know how we got there.
Get a boots. Okay. Not Manny Fresh.
Wow, that Tyra, when's the stand-up special? That was a good one. So I mean, that leads us, and before we get into the finale, just a reminder, with all 300 of y'all watching us, almost at least 10 o'clock my time, we appreciate y'all spending this evening with us. This is great. I knew this when this panel was put together. I felt like I don't know, Nick Fury putting the Avengers together, man. I'm like, this is gonna get the job done. This is gonna get y'all have been awesome. So I appreciate y'all. And if y'all appreciate tonight's commentary, hit the thumbs up, share, continue to leave your thoughts in the comment section. Of course, subscribe to all these wonderful people on the screen, y'all. I'm gonna toss to you first, El. This finale, which was titled, I believe, Only God Has Happy Endings, if I'm not mistaken. Or gives happy endings. As Tyra just mentioned, we're introduced to Tony, which, again, I don't know if it's a amalgamation of all the guys she's met throughout her journey, from Reggie to to Khalid, that is like who she imagines a guy would be like. I guess we meet Tony. She meets Rashida, I believe her name was. Kelsey Clemens character, and we get this kind of love story that goes wrong. she spoke bad about Naja. We know what happens. But this was a great episode to me. I'll get to my reasons why, but I want to talk to you first. What'd you think about this finale?
I thought it was cool. I I had to watch it twice because I wasn't paying close enough attention. But I thought it was cool that, you know, once again it goes against what we had always been seeing, because when they were sitting on the couch, and I wasn't even fazed by Tony, to be quite honest, because I had always held the theory that she has multiple personalities anyway. And that just was another one of the personalities that she had, because again, you know, there's no way to pick up those kinds of mannerisms just pretending, like, you know what I mean? Like there would be some kind of slippage into your natural self if that wasn't something that was totally and completely like a mental situation. I don't know, anyway, but I thought it was cool just, you know, seeing that, you know, Rashida was like, I don't even fuck with Naja like that. And she was like, oh yeah. And I was like, oh, bye, sis. It was good to know you. I know you out of there. And she made it. Like she made it a little longer than I thought she was.
Yeah, she did.
You know what I mean? And so I was like, okay, they switching it up on us again. But you know, I don't. And one thing I kept thinking was like, why didn't Rashida ever question why Tony has a Volvo on Monday and a Cutlass on Wednesday? Like, why was that never a question? Because she kept having to get, you know, they kept having to get new cars. And I'm like,
she had no job, she had no place to stay. You ain't never been to her house. So many questions.
Like, where's your red flag detector? I don't understand what. And then you met her in the club and was like, hey, come to my house, Tony, stranger. So I'm like, did this really? You know, I don't know, but it was a great episode, and I loved the way, you know, the reveal at the end with Chloe Bailey, and seeing Chloe Bailey dressed like and behaving like Beyonce, I thought was cool, because she's like a little mini, you know, they setting her up to be like a little mini
little protege
Beyonce anyway. And so actually seeing that literal, you know, representation of what they're trying to make her be, I thought was cool. And it also let me know that she know what we out here saying about her. Like she know we've been calling her baby Beyonce, and they knew that too, and they did that purposefully. And I'm sure that was a part of getting her cast in this, you know, in this role. You know what I mean? Because they knew what they were gonna do from the jump. But you know, I thought it was cool, and you know, you just never know where the delusions start and where reality stop, all the way until the end of the show. But I'm glad Tony, Dre, and whoever the hell else was in the jailhouse at the end of the day. And that's the moral of the story. And, you know, I don't know. I don't know. It was really cool. And I was really shocked to see Chloe back, because you know, we have been seeing Naja the whole time. And so when we bust up and saw Chloe, it kind of freaked me out. I was like,
it threw me off. I thought, I thought my TV was glitching out.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, what is going on? But that's, again, I really like that. Like, confuse me. Like, if you're gonna confuse me, like keep it consistent and confuse me from beginning to end. Like, and that's exactly what happened. So I thought it was a great way, but it just kind of left me wanting more. Like, I definitely want more from the show, a prequel, or like Tony or Dre or whoever in jail. And, you know, I don't know, can we get like a documentary kind of something? I don't know. It definitely left me wanting way more than what we got, though. I would have loved another like 3 episodes though, instead of 7 run.
Gotcha. B, before we talk to you, I mentioned how my favorite cameo or a guest appearance was Leon, followed up very closely by Cree Summer.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Oh yeah.
She's always coming through. Always love seeing her face. Yeah, and I love that her and Donald Glover had this continuation for those who saw the finale of Atlanta. The character she played there with Darius, transitioning over to this, but it was great. And also shout out to Norm Lewis, the great Norm Lewis there. But B, what'd you think about this finale, man? What stood out to you?
Yeah, you took my thunder.
Cree was
no, I was gonna say it's so nice to see Rachel Dolezal again.
Don't you ever say that again.
I'm teasing.
Inside joke, y'all. Go check out that live stream we did with Atlanta.
Another good reason to subscribe to Elliot. Go check out that Atlanta episode. But Rashida was not smart at all, like Elle pointed out, because she had at least three different cars. I just don't know how you can. I mean, yeah, she was. What was she posted up outside for anyway?
In a car.
You know
where is she getting money from? Like,
you got to think about these things. And she was. I mean, she was book smart because she said she was. And then she said she was a grad student or something. I can't remember. But not only was Rashida not smart, I didn't like the dad either. I just thought that he was just too trusting. Like, I know this is your girl's girl, but you just wasn't asking enough questions, for me or whatever. I'm just, it was just really frustrating to see this because I don't want to see Dre or Tony flourish. I want her to suffer. And you in a relationship now. You living a whole completely new life with a new identity. You take stealing people's identities and credit card fraud and opening up cards and buying. I was like, no, I want you to suffer. And you got this innocent family over here feeling sorry for you. And like Elle said, I was like, okay, damn, like you're just gonna get a bowling ball to the face. You say anything about Naj, and I was so surprised when she made it out the scene, but when she was just talking shit at the end, I was like, "Oh, it's over now."
Yeah,
it's
over.
Damn.
Yeah.
I was like, "We just gotta predict what weapon she gonna choose," But and then I was surprised she did it with her hands. I was just like,
"That's the cold-blooded way too."
Yeah,
it's probably the worst death out of them all because it's so personal.
It's so personal,
taking someone's life out like that.
But honestly, man, I'm gonna be honest. I did not like this ending. It just again, the fact that she just has no remorse for anything that she does. I mean, she was gonna probably murder the lady behind the glass, but the only thing that was stopping her was the glass, and you gonna just take out the ticket scalper. I'm like, good Jesus Christ! And then you win. I mean, I know that really didn't. When I first saw it, I was like, how can they end it like this? Like I don't want her to win. You got exactly what you wanted, but I was like, wait a minute. I don't even think this really happened. It's what I think what happened in episode 6 is what went down. Yeah. But that's how I felt. I was conflicted because I didn't even though it didn't happen, I didn't even like the imagery of her winning. I wanted Naija to get out of here, boo, you stalker, she bit me last year, y'all. This is the one that bit me in the face. And then have everybody stomp her, and then like she crying, like, no, Naija, I love you, fuck you, and that's what I wanted to see. Her throw some crap at her or something. But to see her, even if it was fake, I was
man,
I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this at all.
Brandon wanted an Oprah hyper, like a super Quentin Tarantino ending of knives and guns, is destroying her all right there.
Would have been perfect, Elliot. Game of Thrones, the shame episode, shame. With Lannister or whatever. That's I don't know if y'all know what I'm talking about. What I wanted Dre to go through that.
Oh, gotcha.
Then that would have been the perfect ending right there. But
I hear you, B. Real.
She is evil. She is evil.
We'll get to that posing question. Real, what'd you feel about this finale? The conclusion that we see again, it was all, going back to what B said, episode 6 kind of gave us a concrete, or at least, I don't know, to me, it was a concrete that, Tony was arrested when they went on the stage, and the little verbiage that we got at the end with the police all coming together and putting their homework together to figure out that this was the murderer. But I don't know. Real, did you have another interpretation of this ending?
No, I thought it was full circle with what Marissa said when they were laying in bed talking about doing Naija's makeup, and she said, "You're crazy enough," or something to the effect of, "You're just crazy enough to be able to meet her for real." And whether or not the meeting her was real, in her mind it was real. So I felt like that was just the fulfillment of all of that. Every time I see Kiersey Clemens on screen, I have to stop for a second because she looks so much like Tessa Thompson to me. They have to pause and be like, "Oh no, that's the other one." Okay,
I can see it. I can see it a little bit. Yeah.
My dog is over here dying. But no, I mean, this episode was interesting. I kind of felt like it was weird because, like, at the beginning, Dre seemed like she was going to get her happy ending, and it was like, wait a second, okay, where are we going with this? Like, things are working out for her, and she got a girl now, and she's finding somebody. But I think, of course, first of all, Rashida messed up when she started talking down about Naija, And then on top of it,
she went in. Listen,
she went all the way in on
she went
that.
in.
I loved it.
He was cursing her out. But yeah, go ahead.
And I think it was almost like it showed us, the audience, like we thought for a moment maybe she had gotten herself together, but nah, she ain't together. She's still crazy. And you know, it just went to a whole nother level by her actually using her hands, because usually she used the weapons, and this was the first time we actually saw her get physical. And so I don't know, it was so many layers to this episode. I liked it, but it was still kind of like, I don't know, which I guess that's the best kind of ending sometimes. It's like if you're still thinking about it and still wrestling with it, it's better than, you know, just feeling like, okay.
Right. Yeah, it makes you think, right? Makes you kind of ponder and think about certain scenes and how things played out. Yeah, now I do prefer definitive endings more times than not, but sometimes I do like that kind of open-endedness to it. But so what'd you think about our finale with her finally making it on stage, which I don't know if it was a full circle moment, the way I kind of interpret her going on stage and the crowd kind of accepting her goes back to, again, appreciating episode 6 when we found out how she was embarrassed when she was at that talent show and the audience made fun of her, but now the audience is accepting her and all that stuff. So what you think about our finale here? And
I like to think, in my mind, everybody tackled her to the ground and she never made it to that stage.
Yes.
Because I just like, really, you just bypassed what the security didn't.
I mean,
like
security let her get
nobody
in the
front of
face,
the stage, but I did like just because I felt like she idolized in the same way, and more so Marissa, she would rightfully see her face, you know, then Naja. Like it looked so distorted. It literally looked like Marissa's face attached to her body. Like at first I thought we were going to just see Chloe, and I was like, that is so weird. That's so weird. But just for her to like coddle her, cover her, you know, put her in the car, and it's just like, yeah, this is, you know, that fantasy and that fairy tale that she always wanted. She's gonna see me and she's gonna, like, yeah, that couldn't have been what happened. But getting back into her being Manny Fresh, the fade was tapered. Like they tapered I was like, they laid that taper down. But it really made me think of Dahmer. And because I watched and I reviewed the entire series of Dahmer, and with her changing her name to Tony, and Dahmer finding like a sense of normalcy and love with his death victim by the name of Tony. And that was the one time as a serial killer he thought to change, try to be normal, try to have a real relationship, and not just always resort to killing somebody. So it really made me think of Jeffrey Dahmer, and I was just waiting because I was like, this is not going to last. I really felt like maybe I was like, is this her true self? Is this who she always really, you know, wanted to be? Or is this just another personality? Getting into, you know, the girlfriend and the family, like, I was like, sis, this is a bomb. Like, what are you doing? This is a bomb. Like, the way that she was able to maneuver her way into her life. And that just goes to just the entire show, the way that she finessed her, you know, she was granted access to so many spaces, even, you know, falling into homie's window. It's just like, oh yeah, I know you don't have nothing. I don't know nothing about you and you come from nothing, but yeah, come on and move in with me. I was like, hell no. But just all the red flags that were just ignored in the way that she was able to maintain, because I thought she was about to get caught up, especially when we have the police find the car and they're searching through it. And then we cut to, did you get the flowers? Like, we've been going out for months. I was like, you've been sleeping with homie for months and you don't know nothing about her. And you
about flowers.
Y'all eating. You know, getting into allowing people to be in your space, and it's just like, why, with the caliber of where you are in your life, all that you have going on, how consistent you are with, you know, your studies, just you gonna be disrupted by Manny Fresh? I didn't get it. Like, no, absolutely not. But I did, you know, I didn't really bask in the aspect of, you know, oh, she didn't kill her when she said that she didn't like Naja. I was like, this is a Jeffrey Dahmer moment. There's only a matter of time before this facade breaks and she gets back to who she is. And even though, I don't know if you guys thought, but it was like, kind of like, oh, she's changed. And I was like, she ain't changed. As soon as, like, and I was just sitting there when that argument happened and she went, I was like, how long was she sitting on that? Because She went off like, you bought these tickets. I was like,
I'm looking at the scene now as you're talking to her. She was pissed.
She has been unhappy and frustrated like, for a minute.
She called her stupid. Right. I don't know how many times. Are you stupid? Are you dumb? Oh man,
it was just so much, and it was just like I don't like Naja. How many? I was like, so this entire time she has been just low key dealing with her, allowing her in her space.
Yep.
Even when we have her laying on her chest, like, you can talk about your sister. I'm your support system. Like, oh, this is a moment for Drea of all people to find happiness and be supported in a good relationship. No, this has been horrible. You've been trying to force Naja down my throat since we've been together. like I'm over it. And in that moment, just really getting into just how disconnected she is and the love that she has for her, to the point that she didn't, pick up some blunt object and knocked her out. She just like uncontrollably just, chose to choke her out. I was like, oh, like, where your parents? Like, why she in why she here? Why she living in your house? Like, I was just absolutely, I was annoyed. But when we have her, like, the fact that she went to the limits, like, to burn her body, I was like,
yeah, that's wild.
Was there ever any love? Like, you're burning her body. Like, we're not even gonna bury it. And just to think that you feel like you have her have a recollection moment of, oh my God, what have I done? And it's just like, oh no, the tickets are in her pocket. Like,
I was like, that's good for you. That's good. That's get.
My opportunity to get to this concert is missed out on, yet again. But yeah. I guess I think like all of us, I think we wanted more, but that's always a good thing with these shows, to kind of leave you wanting more. But I just wish we kind of, since we were so in so many surreal moments, I wish we kind of ended or kind of interjected like, oh, this is what she saw, but this is what really happened in that moment, or just something to really ground us in what's definite, because I don't know if we're gonna get a second season or not, because this could just end off where it is and it'll be complete.
Yeah.
So we just don't know, but I thought it was exceptional. And yeah, Tony was gator boots with the pimped out Gucci suits. Like, the way that they laid that fade down was just sending me. But I like the episode. I like the show in general.
So that brings us to the last question that B's been alluding to all night. And I want everyone to chat, and of course the panel, starting off with you, Brandon. At the end of the day, we follow the story of, as the caseworker said, what happens when someone not, condoning her actions or wiping away what she's done, but it does show the neglect in her life kind of led her down this path, and always seeking love in different matters and all that different stuff. But B-Man, did you feel bad for Dre this ending? I think I know the answer, but I'm just very curious on how you felt about how things wrapped up. And did you feel the show, at least I guess from a narrative standpoint, did you feel the show handled the themes of toxicity, loneliness, acceptance, so on and so forth?
Yeah, I think it handled the themes great. But did I feel sorry for Dre? Not in the mother effing slightest. This monster needs to be taken down, and I will be happy to be the one to do it. Like, oh my God. I mean, she did a great job, but like, look, and what you just said is all of the trauma and neglect and horrible things that she possibly went through. I think that she did kill her mother and her grandmother. Yeah. She was possibly taken advantage of, raped, molested, something that would cause her to do that. So I completely understand that everything that she either went through or somebody in real life can get you to this point. Right. However, you still know what you're doing. You still know what you're doing is wrong. And I think she still had enough sense to possibly seek help. I'm no expert, but I do know, yes, 100%. I mean, people do commit themselves, like, there's something wrong with me. I don't need to be around people because I'm gonna, hurt somebody or hurt someone. Right. I once saw a video last year. It was a man that he was a monster. He was a horrible person. He murdered his girlfriend, but he was like, I know something is wrong with me. I do need to get help. I tried to warn her. Now, I'm not saying that just because you warned her, that makes it A-okay. that you murdered her. No, but he knew he was messed up in the head. He didn't seek help, but she was not at the point where she literally snaps and goes into a trance and doesn't realize what she's doing. Like I'm thinking that movie Gothica with Halle Berry. She didn't know. I don't. If my memory serves me correctly, she would actually snap, not know that she was doing all these murders, and then would snap out of it. Like, okay, how did I end up in prison? You know, last time I was with my husband, now I'm in prison. I don't know what's going on. If y'all haven't seen that movie, check it out. But Dre is not to that point, in my opinion. So yeah, she is evil. I don't feel sorry for her. I mean, you know, I don't feel sorry for her. I wanted her to get her ass beat in that last episode. Bad. I really did. Like Tyler said, I wanted her to get form tackled, textbook style, like, and I didn't want her to win. I really wanted her to suffer. But
Brandon wanted Ray Lewis to come on that stage.
Man,
tackle Lawrence Smith or someone to get him. They'll talk to us. Final thoughts on this, I guess this character on Dre, and all the various characters, all the way from Dre to Tony. Any sympathy, any moments of feeling bad for her while we wrap up this finale with this character?
No, I didn't feel bad for her. I enjoyed her.
Yeah.
I thought she was highly entertaining, and part of me that is a true crime fiend, and the part of me that is a social worker, sociologist, professional, you know, that part of me was satisfied. I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was an accurate representation of somebody who does suffer with severe mental health issues, obviously, and what happens when people are neglected, and what happens when people, like children, are vulnerable, right? And what happens when vulnerable children are taken advantage of, and how that creates monsters. Like Drake could have been a normal person, you know. We have no idea. But I think for me, I was looking for more of a commentary on that extreme fan culture that I thought that, you know, the show was kind of predicated upon. Like I thought that was like what we were going to kind of talk about, because it really is a problem. Like it really is an issue. 100%. Like people really, like, I'm in the Rihanna Navy. I'm a Barb. I'm a the Beehive, obviously. But like people really, really, really have these parasocial relationships that are quite unhealthy.
Social media. They wake up with their celebrity. They know what they're eating, know when they're working out, know when the baby's coming.
It's a double-edged sword, because the celebrities provide the information, but then the people, you know what I mean? It's a weird thing, but I really wanted something along the lines of like, what happens when, well, we know what happens when, but you know, something that touched more upon the extreme fan culture that we've had now, and the social media piece of it all that we didn't get. I thought it very much felt like Donald Glover, like his name and his presence was all over this thing. Like you could literally look at it and be like, this kind of looked like Donald Glover had something to do with it, which I think is cool. I would love if Donald Glover created a whole like universe around like Atlanta, and like, you know,
he's
like
building it. I think he's building it.
Yeah, if he gave us like this whole wild ass universe where, you know, all these crazy things happen, I would love to see that. I love seeing Dominique Fishback in this role. I felt like proud of her at the end of the show. Like I felt so proud that she was able to do this awesome thing, because I know it had to be challenging for her to do that, because I know it pulled it out of her. Like it had to. There's no way that it couldn't. And I found out that she's 30. She looked like she's 20 something, like 20.
Yeah, no, same. When I was doing, I was like, wow, she's
so, you know, I thought it was great. And this is one that is like, if I feel like dark and moody and it's rainy outside, I might throw this on again and just watch it from front to back, because it gave me what I need. And I loved it. It was like drama and laughter and crime and, you know, punishment. And, you know, I felt really happy when the tickets were in the pocket. I don't know. That just really made me happy. I just really felt very, very redeemed when the tickets were in the pocket. I said, that's good for you. I just remember feeling very excited about it. But 2 thumbs up from your girl L.
Let's get that DGCU, the Donald Glover Cinematic Universe, y'all. Real. Again, you dropped some all of you guys have dropped some amazing nuggets on tonight's commentary. So tossing it back to you, Real, in regards to just final thoughts on this character. Do you think the show, because I do agree with Elle that and I think it was a matter of 2 halves of, like, the first half did focus on that toxicity of it all and to the extreme of what it can do to someone, versus the second half was more of the character study of Dre and kind of what led her on this path. But I guess, Real, did you feel like it kind of lost some of its themes with kind of switching over to the character study versus the toxicity? Was there something that you wish they would have drawn out more? You think it was something they did an excellent job on displaying? Just your thoughts overall.
I think they did a good job of it from the perspective of they chose to parody probably one of the most private pop icons, right? Because she don't really try to give out too much. Everything that she tells about her life comes from outside sources.
Right.
And I think in that regard, by them choosing that, it does allow us to focus more on, well, what's the type of mentality? What's the mentality of someone who would go that far and have this parasocial relationship with someone who they don't know? So it doesn't matter what that person's doing. This person's got this issue within them that they can't escape. And I think that's what we kind of saw the whole way. She fixated on Marissa. For a while there, I think what probably helped her was she was fixating on Rashida for a little bit until, the bubble snapped or whatever. I kind of was like everybody else. I was happy that the tickets were in the pocket. I thought it would have been interesting to see what would have happened if she couldn't have made it in the concert. Like, what would have happened if that was it? If she wasn't able to get that scalper and get him alone in the car or whatever, what would happen? But I love the show overall. I thought it was good. And correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like the person who directed most of the episodes was the same director from Honk If You what is it?
I think you're right. Yeah. The name. So I think you're right, because I did remember seeing the name quite a few times when the credits were rolling.
Yeah, and that was very satirical. So I love shows like this. We don't get enough of Black people in satire, dark comedy, horror. I love this. This was exciting, and I think seeing Donald Glover's style, and not to take anything away from Janine Nabers, because I know this is very much heavily written by her in terms of the sister storyline. But I just love it when you get to see director's style emerge. Like, we know what Spike Lee's style is. You know what a Spike Lee movie is. So you see it. I like that we're now that we say, this is Donald Glover.
Right. He directed the first episode, and that when you have a series with multiple directors, the first episode sets the tone for the series. And Donald Glover was the director of episode 1. So yeah, I totally agree with you, Real.
Yeah. So I enjoyed it. I loved it. I'm gonna tell you one thing. I'm gonna be in y'all's comments like, what? If Dominique Fishback does not get the Emmy nomination, Golden Globe nomination, if we can give one to Jenna Ortega, she can get a nomination.
I agree. I think luckily it's on a program like Amazon that has the big bucks to campaign for something like this. I would hope that they would campaign for her. Yeah. Who did I get to you, Elle, or was it Tyra? That's
No, I said my 2. I gave my 2 cents.
Talk to me, Tyra. Final thoughts on Miss Andrea Green, The Journey, and how we ended up. What did you think about this show?
Same thing with Atlanta. Like, it's over, Elliot. Like, I felt low-key really smited that they released the entirety of the series at once. I wanted so badly to ponder and really dissect every single episode and not, have to binge watch it. Because as soon as we binge watch it, it's over. Like, Stop, Donald. Like, this is getting on my nerves. I hate that for this show, but I love the show. I think everybody went in really expecting to get into that fandom and, the toxic, maybe, something like the Beehive and the Barbs and how far some of these fans are willing to go to support their faves. But I didn't feel any type of way that we went off into completely other territory. Like, at some point, I forgot, even though that's who we were killing in the name of, and that was who she was trying to get to, I wasn't thinking about Naja. I wasn't thinking about her. I was thinking about the mental illness that we were witnessing on screen and just this Black woman just being unhinged, being a whole serial killer. I was getting my Dexter life. I was having a good time. I was having a good time, but I feel like if we got more, then it may, dilute what we have. So even though I don't want it to end, I feel like we should just keep it here and just take it for what it was. This was an incredible show. Like, what he got coming out next, Ellie? You be all on it. Like,
I think Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I think Mr. and Mrs. Smith is his next project with Amazon because he did that deal with them a couple of years ago. I think him and Phoebe Wilder, the writer for Killing Eve and all that stuff, I think they're partnering up to do that show, which is going to be completely different from this show. So
she dropped out of it though.
Oh, that's right. You're right. But I think it's still a go. I think he's still attached to it, starring in it and stuff like that. But I think that's his next project is the Mr. and Mrs. Smith series.
So is it going to be a Black Mr. and Mrs. Smith, or what's
knowing Donald Glover? I have no idea.
Because I'm trying to figure. That's why I was asking. Because I'm like, Lord, what is he gonna do? Like,
no idea, but I will be tuning in. I will be tuning in.
I just love these projects. I can't even think of the horror movie that's coming out that's all Black people, and it's like you can't kill all of us first. I love these situations. Like, we're so desperate for anything, like for something, but for it to be this at this caliber, as far as production, the acting, everything that went into, like, all the effort that went into the show is just amazing. And I just wish we could get more of this. Like, it was really incredible. Like, Dominique Fishback, she was already on my radar away from Judas and the Black Messiah and other projects she had done before, but this just solidifies just how great she is as an actress. I'm mad it's over. I'm mad. Oh, I feel a little empty and just feel like, I just hate, I feel like when he comes out with something else, whatever that project may be, if it's a show, I just really want these shows to get back into, the blackening, getting, leaving us wanting a little bit more. Don't, allow me to binge everything at once. Cause if you put it there, I'm gonna watch it. I can't control myself. I'm a fiend. It was a good show. Like, I didn't know where to go from here, but I loved it. I don't feel like we missed any beats. Of course, that one true crime episode was like, what? But everything else, I absolutely loved it. And I hope we get more inventive, creative ideas and really just get, into that narrative of, even if it's, Black women, we can be multifaceted in everything, even a whole serial killer. I love the show.
Yeah. I was just looking it up. Yeah, that is his next project is Mr. and Mrs. Smith. And it looks like they're playing off of pretty much the same thing that we saw with the film. John and Jane enter to a new phase of their marriage, agreeing to work as spies in the mysterious agency. So it looks like they're going to be, obviously, going to have their own touch to it. So we'll see whenever that drops on Amazon. But he is the creator behind it. So, and also another one of his creators from Atlanta will be working on it with him. So we will see. We'll see. But I guess one question that I think we've been kind of tiptoeing around and bringing up, but starting with you, Real, because I know you mentioned throughout the discussion, you would want to see a season 2. So I guess the question is, do we get a season 2? Or are you okay with something new, something fresh? Maybe the same creators, same actors teaming up together again, but not necessarily making a swarm season 2 from the perspective of the artist or from perspective from a Black man or another ethnicity or whatever case may be. Would you want a season 2, or are you okay with this being a one and done? Starting with you, Real.
I'm okay with it being a one and done, just because I like that it was contained. And if I would hate for us to get a second season, something happened, it not be done. Yeah, we have so many good shows that didn't get finished, and I would hate for this to be one of them. So I'm okay, though. Like Tyra, I hate saying that because it was so good.
Yeah.
What about you, El? Do you think we need a season 2? Answer some questions. What happened to Dre the years that we didn't when she got kicked out, or prior to what happened with the grandmother, or something like someone mentioned, the anthology of another fanning out over someone?
I mean, I guess we could do that. I'm not mad at an anthology, but I do think that there is something to that old school, when it's done, it's done. It ain't no coming back from it. Like, it's just, you know what I mean? Because fans are rabid, and we will just suck every bit of creative energy that people have out of them until they be like, let's just jump the shark on purpose. Because I can't, right? So leaving something at its peak and leaving something while it's good and leaving us to want more of it and being like, damn, you remember Swarm? Swarm was, you know, like that kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
I like that. I think we need a little bit of that. And I kind of was annoyed too that it was over, because I literally, even with having to rewatch the last 2 episodes again, I blew through them like really quickly.
Yeah, and that was 30-minute episodes too. That's,
it was an easy watch. I was eating them episodes up, but you know, it's kind of like folks are damned if they do, damned if they don't, because sometimes when we watch these series and I'm like, bro, I need it. I wish I could watch the next episode now. I hate that I have to wait until next Sunday to watch the next episode. And then, you know, we have times when it's like, I watched all the episodes and damn, it's nothing for me to do now. So it's like people are damned if they do, damned if they don't, because we as fans are we selfish. So you know what I mean? But you know, I think they need to just leave it where it is and give us something new. As long as Donald Glover just gives us something in this universe, I'm gonna be okay with it.
So Brandon, I know you're biting at the bits to get a Dre redeem. You know, she's in prison, getting reformed. She changes everything. You know, she puts her life in God. She comes out a different person. So I know you want that, right, B?
No, you seen The Count of Monte Cristo?
I have.
You know, I want her to be in that prison. Yeah, that's what I want.
Under the prison.
Under the prison. Yeah, man. I'm cool with this ending the way it is. Unless we get a bonus episode of what really happened, but I don't need a season 2. I would be cool with this right here.
You got real beef with Dre, and I
love it.
I love to see it.
Yeah. Tyra, did you want to see, you're good with the one and done? You're right.
Yeah, I'm good with the one and done, but I'm here for the anthology thing. Like, you know, I'm throwback horror. Anthologies can go up, you know what I mean? So I'm here. If they can give us Creep Show and Tales from the Hood and give us a different season, get a little turn Swarm into more so, you know how American Horror Story, we kind of use the same actors, but it's a different, you know, narrative and storyline every single time.
Talk about jumping
I would be
shark.
mad at that. I would be mad at that.
Did anybody else call the number?
No, we mentioned it earlier. I'm gonna have to now.
Am I I'm the only one who called the number?
Called it. What happened?
They've been texting me, so maybe there is going to be something more going on.
Texting you.
Wow. What are they texting you?
Who's your favorite artist?
Oh Lord,
you better watch out, real.
That would have shook me.
I don't like
that. That's some white girls at the coat or whatever.
I don't like that.
Yeah. Don't drink Kool-Aid. Don't drink.
You gonna look outside your window and see somebody just standing there in the middle of
walking up
with her Gucci Mane fade.
It's too much.
Well, listen, man, we've been going almost 3.5, over 3.5 hours, and I can go for another 3.5 with this amazing panel and this amazing chat that y'all have been leaving some great comments, and every one of y'all joining us tonight. I appreciate you. Man, I think like you all said, I can't stress enough. Donald Glover, Janine Nabers got a hit on their hands. I kind of feel you, Tyra. I would have loved to maybe spent a little bit more time in the universe, a week to week, but it is, I guess, it plays to the idea of the show of like we want more and just watch it all at once type of situation. So maybe it plays into that. But no, I think this was a hit show, and I do hope it isn't just a weekend conversation. I do hope that it does more people, because I don't think it's some people are still like, what's Swarm and all this. So hopefully it finds another audience, finds more people to talk about it, get more eyes on the amazing performance. Because before wrapping up, I think we can all agree to this: Dominique Fishback. I gotta. Where is it at? So here it is. This is for you, Dominique.
Yeah.
Yep.
Give her all the flowers. Give her all the flowers now. Whew, she did her thing, y'all.
I feel like our culture, like I feel like the African American community is like obviously acknowledging her. Like she's on our radar. She's really, really new, obviously, but I think what might do it for everybody else is Billie Eilish, because people are obsessed with Billie Eilish. She has her own like crazy,
she can have her own show season 2
or whatever. And so because she did so well, I think that they'll watch it for that, or maybe they just might go to that one episode and watch it. But that might get trash on the show too. So.
I said just a quick story. I had put out a quick tweet like a couple days before it premiered, and the Billie Eilish fans swarmed onto my comments of like just being like, someone asked me just like, hey, just a quick question, is Billie Eilish in the show? And I'm like, I'm not gonna spoil anything, and I'm telling you right now, y'all, I got a thread full of Billie Eilish fans DMing me saying, hey, can you just tell me, is she in it? Is she singing in it? Is she a cameo in it? So yeah, there is a fandom that definitely loves them to Billie Eilish, and I see why, because she is a very talented individual. But wrapping this thing up, because I know it's a little bit late. We got to get some food in our systems, take our dogs out for a walk, or maybe rewatch this show from the beginning. So I'm going to toss it to you, Real, again. Thank you for joining for the first time, and this will definitely not be the last time. Really loved your commentary tonight. I hope everyone that watched tonight sees how great you are as a critic and a commentator on these things, and you get people checking out all your amazing content. So with that being said, Real, if you want to let the people know where they can find you and what's next on your channel.
You can find me over on YouTube, Her Real Review. And what's next is finishing out reviewing the series, and I'm really looking forward to The Little Mermaid, y'all. So when that comes out, we got to get together and talk about that. Then another Bailey sister.
Right.
Y'all don't want me there for that.
I'm definitely excited for it. I'm just gonna need them to brighten up that screen a little bit more so I can see what's going on.
I swear.
But no, shout out to you, Real. Definitely gotta have some more discussions in the future for sure. Elle, tossing it to you. Always so great to see you, hear from you, and I can't wait to see what you got next lined up on your channel. Which, speaking of, want to let them know where they can find you.
I am Watch With Me LB. I have my Swarm review on my channel. I did episodes 1 through 4, and then another video for episodes 5 through 7. I had a great time talking about it. This was a great show for me to cover. I'm thinking about trying to cover more kinds of movies and content, and maybe trying to push myself as it relates to the things that I watch, and trying to stomp like the big dogs, like my folks on the panel. But I am gonna start covering Ted Lasso. I'm editing the first episode. I'm obsessed with Theodore Ted Lasso. I love me some Ted Lasso. And I'm really excited about the Super Mario Brothers movie. I got that coming up, and I'm really excited about the Blackening. I'm so glad we talked about that, because we got to get together for that one. That's gonna be a fun panel when the Blackening comes out, because for all the obvious reasons. But if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd appreciate it. Thank you kindly.
Yes. The Black, when is that? June, I think, in the middle of summer. So it's perfect time. Perfect time. Tyra, again, it's been a minute. So glad to see you, hear from you. Have a good time, get some good laughs. Hear from your thoughts on this show, and I can't wait to link up again. But why don't you let the people know? I know your video actually uploaded while we were doing this. So why don't you let the people know where they can find that video and what's next on Struggle Reviews?
Oh man, I'm Tyra with Struggle Reviews TV, because I be struggling. I'm a struggling, young thug YouTuber. Like, it's hard out here for a pimp. Like, come support your girl. I talk about a little bit of everything. As I said, I talk about throwback movies. I most recently uploaded, I think, School Days as well as House Party. Like, it's a whole gumbo. It is paywall, so I just go by what the people are requesting, and sometimes they pick some really interesting stuff. I also do contemporary movies. I am really, really waiting for Evil Dead Rise. I'm a horror chick down. I'm waiting for that to come out.
Yes.
So I can talk about that. And I'm discussing Wu-Tang, the series, Snowfall.
Wu-Tang.
Yes, all that good stuff on my channel. I also have some breakdowns for Harlem. There is a ton of things there. So please come on through and support me. And also follow me on Instagram. My handle is on the screen. Thank you.
Evil Dead Rise, I cannot wait. I cannot wait. B, I know you first in line for that one, B. Yes, sir.
You couldn't pay me to see that,
sir.
Man. Hell no.
Speaking of B, man, it's always good to see you, man, and chop it up. Marvel, DC, Swarm, you name it, Oscars, everything, man. I always love chopping up with Brandon. But if y'all just got a small sample of what Brandon can bring to the table, man. He got his own platform where he lets all the fire come out for you guys. So, Brandon, why don't you let them know where they can find you?
Well, before I let them know they find me, Elliot, it's a pleasure, man, to join you on this epic panel tonight. So thanks so much for having me. Also, of course, El, it's great to collab with you. And you know, Tyler, you my homie. And Real, it was nice meeting you. I loved your commentary as well. And hopefully we can link up on this panel again because I had a lot of fun tonight. If you want to know, you can follow me here on YouTube at Just My Opinion Reviews. I'm really trying to reach 50,000 subscribers this year.
All right.
And I'm going to try my best to get it. If you would like to get my Swarm review, you can. I went live the other day for a little over 2 hours. I had a new guest on my show as well, Movie Bay, and we had fun chopping it up. Matter of fact, I'm also thinking of a question I forgot to ask you guys about, her meeting up with Rashida. Maybe I can ask it real quick. But videos that I'll be putting out this week, Snowfall, season 6, episode 6. Franklin killed Teddy Daddy. So we got to figure out what's going to happen next. And
I don't even know what that means, but that's
I saw it earlier today, and I can't wait to talk about it. Also, Bel Air, episode 5, season 2, I'm going to be dropping this week. Power, book 2, Ghosts, season 3, episode 2, I'm going to be dropping this week. Also, my review for John Wick 4. Tariq Nasheed's 8th or 9th documentary film. Not only will I have a review coming out either Thursday or Friday, I'm also going to go live on Saturday to talk about it as well because I just enjoyed it that much. Also have a Movie News Roundup show number 99 this coming Sunday, almost there at 100. Wow. And we got to talk about the blackening because June can't get her fast enough. So if you want to come through, man, we have a good time. Elliot, Tara, everybody, they be over there just tripping out on the panel. So I would love to have you help me reach 50K.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's right around the corner, B. I know it. Yeah. With all the hard work, that 100 episode, man, that's gonna be a big one. That's gonna be a big one, man. We all have to come through. On that episode. But man, Real, L, B, Tyra, and everyone in the chat, thank you for making this the best Monday night I could have imagined talking about this great show. I can't thank you all enough. And again, this will not be the last time. Many more things, many more conversations to be had with all the great stuff coming out. We're gonna have to get Brandon on that panel for that Evil Dead Rise, Tyra. We're gonna have to talk to him about that. But listen, y'all. I really appreciate you. Before y'all head out, just hit that thumbs up, share, and those watching the replay, let us know your thoughts in the comments. And more importantly, every single one of these creators, their links in the description. Click on it, watch all the videos, binge it all, like them all, and more importantly, subscribe to them. B, you got a thing?
My fault. Also, I covered 15 of the Oscar nominated films.
You sure
did. Go watch those 30 times each too.
Exactly. Exactly. Just keep playing it. When you go to work, leave TV on, let it run through.
Just let it run.
With that being said, you guys have been awesome, and we will catch you on the next one.